Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez.
I'm Robert McNeely. We are awaiting President Trump's photo opportunity with racing champions. I believe this is Formula One today, if not NASCAR, maybe both. Matthew, you've been to a few races over the years.
This is true. Before we get to that, we can't leave out Indy 500, of course, and you've been to that as well. So
an amazing all-American race, and thank you to the Indianapolis citizens, residents who love that annual tradition. A great summertime classic, usually over Memorial Day. It's been years, though, about over 20 years now. So as a kid, it was a star-studded event, and that's where I decided I would not be a race car driver.
You know, it's quite interesting to see them go around the track in NASCAR and just be able to have that endurance to continue at those speeds around those turns and the crowd and the whole nine. So anyway, we'll be seeing the president along with the racing champions in just a bit. Also, within this broadcast, if there's any breaking news or any updates, especially within the Beltway there in D.C., we'll bring that to you. We're also going to highlight some things that have been happening over the past couple days. I mean, it's only Wednesday, Robert, but it feels like it's a Friday in a way because of the amount of stuff that's getting done.
Oh, yes. And President Trump driving down the court right now, as we are familiar with our Right Side Sports, your great coverage from San Antonio, Texas for the Final Four. But President Trump, ever since signing those executive orders in regards to the tariffs, have really started to see some success already. Israel coming to the table yesterday with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu saying that he will remove all trade barriers between the United States and Israel and no new tariffs and plans to end any existing tariffs. And he thinks that other countries should join in that. We now know, per Caroline Leavitt yesterday at the press conference, that 70 nations coming to the table saying, President Trump, we want to renegotiate all of this.
And one of those nations not coming to that table is China, as you guys know. So it's the score right now is 104 to 84, meaning the Chinese imports are getting tariffed by our country 104%. And now China announces, well, we're going to do that for you 84%. So hopefully that will ease off and the guys can just talk to each other. But here's at the end of the day, we know that the United States will win, really, no matter what.
Right. It's at the end of the day, too, as you're explaining, Secretary Bessent actually meeting with our friend Tucker Carlson, really breaking down why China cannot beat us in a trade war. They simply cannot do that with the amount of people, even in their country, who rely on our goods. And their manufacturing actually really slowing down in the last few years. Things I wasn't aware of. Very happy to hear, because in turn, if we start exporting again, if we get back our pharmaceuticals, if we bring companies here to the United States, it's not only good for the American dollar, the American consumer, jobs for the middle class, but also national security.
Exactly. So we're going to be highlighting a lot of the policy items and the executive orders and some of last night's speech by President Trump in Washington, D.C. If you missed that, man, it's a good one because it had those rally vibes, which was always good to see and experience. So we'll go to that in just a second. Before we do, we have a number of sponsors here at the Right Side Broadcasting Network. One is Colonial Metals Group.
Yes, it is the go-to against inflation and preparation for your retirement. With China, really with its war games, with its threats of tariffs continuing, the best way to protect yourself is with tangible gold and silver. Scan the QR code now. Shield your savings today. freegoldguide.com/RSBN. That is freegoldguide.com/RSBN. It gives you everything you need to know. Paul Stone, the wonderful CEO of this organization, truly has put together the best team for you and your loved ones so you can make those best financial decisions.
Exactly. Let's go over to angelpace.com. So using the RSBN promo code goes a long way with pretty much every product that is on this network, including the Miracle Cream right there. There's other products as well. So just go to angelpace.com out of Spring, Texas, a great company there that hires military veterans. Let's go now to AmericanFinancing.net. If you're looking to save on average of about $800 for that first month, maybe even the second month. I remember you talking about that before.
Yes, they are very gracious in the sense that if you reach out today and you work with American Financing, they can actually delay 2 payments. So you're really looking at a savings of up to $1,600. And that's good this time of year considering all of the actions taking place with our federal government government with the restructuring of the American economy, but also with tax day just next week, this might be very healthy and financially beneficial for your family.
Definitely. So refinancing, you see there, purchasing and home loans, all information from great patriots at AmericanFinancing.net, and also sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thanks again for streaming in. It's 1:05 Eastern, Wednesday, April 9th. I think we're at day 79 right now for President Trump, so nearing that 80-day mark. Can you believe it? The people have been, like us, we've been talking about it every day for the past 78 days, it seems. But it's usually that 100-day mark that people really do what we're doing.
Amazing success in the modern presidency this quickly. We have not seen anything quite like it, and President Trump really at a breakneck pace in order to save the country. And I think ultimately he is somewhat taking a roll of the dice with really reshaping, reorganizing the world economy. But like he mentioned last night, from 1870 to 1913, that was the wealthiest time of this country, with former President McKinley and then former President Teddy Roosevelt really benefiting on using tariffs in order to make wealth created here in the United States. And it worked out for us until that dreaded income tax came into play. So think about this. We lasted as a country, we grew like crazy between 1776 and 1913 without a federal income tax. So this battle taking place really is from the progressive left of the last 100 or so years.
So we'll see what happens in the future, but we do know that right now, today, we just, you know that sound on Venmo when you get paid, it goes cha-ching? Well, $2 billion just came to the United States government. That per President Trump, speaking twice yesterday at different events, saying that because of the tariffs, we're getting $2 billion per day. So not bad with the making our country wealthy again. And we're looking forward to seeing all the prices continually go down, jobs go up, manufacturing in this country increase. So let's go to the highlights from yesterday's speech. We have a few of them here for you, some comical ones too, but let's go to that from just yesterday in Washington, D.C.
They don't want tariffs on themselves. And it's very simple. We're making deals and people are paying tariffs. Countries are paying tariffs. Right now, China's paying a 104% tariff. Think of it, 104%. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but they charged us for many items 100%, 125%. Many countries have. They've ripped us off left and right. But now it's our turn to do the ripping. That's okay. We're going to make our country even stronger, stronger than it ever was. And 26 Republicans will fight for every state, every seat, and every single vote. We're going to fight like hell. I'm proud to be the president for the workers, not the outsourcers. The president who stands up for Main Street, not Wall Street, who protects the middle class, not the political class, and who defends America, not trade cheaters all over the globe. They're trade cheaters. They cheated on us. They cheated with tariffs on us. They stole our money. They stole our jobs. Adam Shifty Shifts. Can you believe this guy? He's got the smallest neck I've ever seen. And the biggest head. We call him watermelon head. I'd say, how could that big fat face stand on a neck that looked like this finger? How can it? It was the weirdest thing. It's a mystery. Nobody can understand it. But he's one of the most dishonest human beings I've ever seen. And, you know, how we can allow people like that to run in office is a shame, but we did.
That was a rally speech last night, but you know what? It's always great to hear from President Trump, whether it is that comedic truth or whether it's the serious points about tariffs and China and so many things. I mean, yesterday, the hostages that President Trump and the team have brought over were on stage as well. I mean, there's just so many moments yesterday and a lot of content by the president.
Oh, yes. It's really a great mix of the truth and comedy, but also the serious nature of this. And as he said in that presentation to the joint session of Congress a month ago, all we needed to do was switch presidents ultimately, because it was the AutoPen that was in control. And we're not sure exactly who AutoPen was. It could have been Dr. Jill. It could have been Barack Hussein Obama. But we now know who truly is in charge, a constitutionalist committed to the future of this great country.
Yeah, exactly. So we are looking forward to seeing the president Now, what we're seeing is that he will be having the photos with the racing champions in just a bit. And then at 2:30, scheduled to sign a number of executive orders. Most likely that will not be a live feed for any network, but we will be able to upload and replay that for you, whether it's live right here on the channel or on Rumble or wherever you watch Right Side. So I just want to let you know that's what's on the president's schedule today. Let's shift over to another sponsor, Kalshi.com/RSBN. When will Bitcoin hit $150,000? That's the money question of the day. There are so many questions on there, Robert. It's interesting to actually go to Kalshi.com, just scroll through and check out all the different things that people are trading and betting on.
And whether it's politics or culture or sports, great to trade and bet on these important questions that matter to you, the American people. So trade live now, Kalshi.com/RSBN. That's KALSHI.com/RSBN.
A great sponsor at the network. So is 1775 Coffee. That looks good right there. I'll tell you what. Use that RSBN code. And they're saying it's not just a caffeine fix. It's infused with KAKG, a breakthrough compound shown to support cellular health as well, boost endurance, and even reduce biological age by up to 8 years and 7 months. That's pretty good stuff right there. 1775coffee.com/RSBN.
Yes, and a $250 bundle now going down to $99. What a value for you, the American people. Only 1,000 left. And get it while it lasts because, yes, it does bring down that age. And people will be like, wow, you're actually that age. It's incredible. So a great way to kill two birds with one stone. 1775coffee.com/RSBN.
And you'll save $150 and get exclusive 1775 merch and lock in your shot at the truck, the cash, and living long enough to finally see a balanced budget. So there's a truck involved in this whole thing. So you might as well go to 1775coffee.com/RSBN. All right, so 1:11 Eastern Time, Wednesday, April 9th. Just back from I guess a few days ago from San Antonio, Texas. Quite awesome to see all of the Auburn Tiger faithful there, as we are from, obviously, Auburn, Alabama, here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. The fact of them winning so much this season, though, and sticking with, almost beating the Florida Gators, who, of course, won the national championship. It's almost parallel when it comes to all of the wins of the season. We're seeing so many wins by this president. And we know the president loves sports as well. So it's just great to see people just having a good time with sports, but also cheering on the president as well.
And Coach Bruce Pearl, so much owed to his success and leadership with his team. And I really enjoyed that press conference after the fact because he said, really the way to insult someone is not even to yell at them, insult them to their face, behind their back, all bad things, but it's truly to ignore them. And he said, I don't want my players ignoring their Father God. So this infusion, this revival we're seeing throughout the culture, whether it be in professional sports, college sports, all the way to the White House, there is this welcoming once again of Christianity, of worship in general, of understanding between different faiths. And it's a wonderful, truly a revival to see across America, regardless of your specific neck of the woods.
Exactly, and then including conservative media with that. I mean, it's something you won't hear on mainstream media talking about the Holy Bible, the Old Testament, the Jewish faith, the New Testament, the fulfillment for those that believe in Christianity as we here at the network. But still, at the end of the day, it's okay to talk about faith again in America. The left doesn't want that because they're anti-God. Now, I'm not saying everybody on the left, not every Democrat, but those that are extreme, that really don't want our country to be free, don't want President Trump in office, don't want Elon Musk finding out more in Doge, not wanting us to have our constitutional rights. Those are the people we're talking about. And that's a real small number, actually. I don't think every Democrat across the country is saying, we don't want the Constitution anymore,
Well, a great way that people have walked away from this Democrat Party is looking back to the godfather of the modern left, Saul Alinsky, someone who inspired people like Bill Ayers, who then held his first fundraiser for Barack Hussein Obama in 1996 in his Chicago, Illinois home. These are people that were part of the Weather Underground. They were pardoned by former President Jimmy Carter, and Saul Alinsky dedicated his Rules for Radicals to Satan himself. This is an evil ideology. If we go back to Russia, the USSR, of course, who did they attack first? The Bolshevik Revolution went after the Orthodox Church, and killed the Tsar and his family members. It's brutal, it's satanic, it's a blood libel. And the last 100 years or so of this Communist Manifesto really is that last red dragon that the United States has to once again confront with the Chinese Communist Party. It is an evil ideology, and that's how we should treat it as such, because it literally takes away the identity of the human individual, whereas Christianity and the patience of God wanting to commune with us, and that's why he came here as man to then suffer and die on a cross so that he would rip open that veil so mere mortals could commune again with their Creator. He is the new Adam. Communism wants to destroy that. It's literally biblical. And if you disagree with me, please feel free to opine, but it's right there, historical documents, regardless of how you feel about it.
Exactly. And of course, Jesus resurrecting on that third day. And on the other side, when you're talking about communism and all the evil, right, way at the base of it all, rooted in Lucifer, rooted in Satan. This is legit, and this is what's happening, right? That's where the root is. But way on the top is the woke mind virus and all of the situations and all the indoctrination that is just a new name for something that's like communism or Marxism or Darwinism and all that. So I remember reading that book by T.S. Dixon, The Woke Mind Viruses, and it really breaks down liberalism, globalism, and all of the isms out there on the left side. But again, this is not, we look at the people that are protesting at Tesla events and Tesla protests, and I really do believe that there are some good-hearted people there, but their minds are the ones that are warped because they have the woke mind virus. And so hopefully they can see the light, get some awareness, get some knowledge, come onto the right side of history, and start winning, because the winners are people that are not woke.
Yes, absolutely. And we might have a special guest who actually was able to film and confront one of these organizers during the protests on Saturday. So getting a firsthand look at what happened, specifically in the western suburbs of Chicago. So we had to do some rearranging with scheduling today, but hopefully we'll have her on to get her take on everything that happened specifically with those hands-off / Tesla protests. Again, really throwing spaghetti at the wall, because you have people like Rick Steves, the great tour guide, well, not so great anymore because he's part of that woke mind virus and quite frankly is a moron in my opinion. But anyone could be a better host than him too. He's just not talented. But besides that, it's ridiculous to see the amount of people that want to attack a private business and attack private property simply for having a different opinion. Very strange, part of the woke mind virus for sure.
100%, that's the truth right there. But you know what's great? The 80% of the nation that says we're not that radical and that left, and hopefully those 20% get with it. But it's great that there's so many wins to highlight, so many accomplishments. It is better to have President Trump as the leader of this country and the leader of the free world. And we are just 79 days in. This is only 2 months and some weeks, right? This is not 2 years in right now. So what will happen as the wins keep happening? And I'm talking every level of government. I'm talking the cabinet positions, the departments, our constitutional rights, restored and saved, our country saved. So we are really on a historic roll right now, and it's fun to cover, isn't it?
Oh, it's a blast. It really is. It's whether it's inside of the Beltway, outside of the Beltway, and stories like yours that matter in your neck of the woods. If you have anything that pertains to America First, we'd love to hear from you as well. Feedback at rsbn.tv, feedback at rsbn.tv. Please feel free to send in your thoughts. We love to read them and to hear from you, the American people, about what matters to you and the America First agenda.
Exactly. It's great to hear some of the people that are really supportive of the network, which a lot are. And I mean, we get emails from not only our great country, but the other day, Scotland, someone that just moved from Ireland. There's just people that are watching this network because it's based in common sense. We're not going to be confusing here. If you see it, we're going to show it to you there. Especially today, we're going to see President Trump with the racing champions. But just yesterday, that speech last night, it was wall to wall from the beginning to the end. And if you missed it, it's definitely a good speech to watch. He did say with the midterms, with the winning that was happening now, and of course the winning that will happen then, that he will be doing some tele-rallies and some rallies as well for some midterm Republican candidates. So that's going to be quite awesome. So just when you thought rallies were done on Right Side Broadcasting Network, rev up those engines. It's going to be fun. All right, so let's go to Colonial Metals Group as well. Colonial Metals Group. So just go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Gold and silver, always high value, great backup for savings and for someone's retirement.
Oh, yes. So important to do. Even if you want to send a great student of yours, a young patriot, to Auburn University right behind us, because gold and silver will help you to balance with properties, assets, 401ks, or IRAs. In fact, according to Paul Stone and this great team, you can roll those 401k and IRA savings programs into gold and silver. freegoldguide.com/RSBN. You'll find out the no obligation information that matters most to you, or scan that QR code now. Look, Warren Buffett and these other billionaires putting so much money into the stock market and tangible gold and silver. Why not follow the money experts? The best group to do that, Colonial Metals Group. Thank you for sponsoring us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Before we get to President Trump's post, which he just posted literally 2 minutes ago, let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. More than 2,000 products right there at your fingertips. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com/RSBN, scroll through, check it out, use the promo code. You'll get up to 50% off. You see a number of the sheets right there, that spring sheet sale. So a lot of great products, mypillow.com/RSBN. So Robert, we see the president talking about China here and the world markets, as a lot of people are talking about the United States and China and tariffs, and 104% tariffs against Chinese imports right now. China says, well, then it's 84% against your imports. This is what President Trump says. Based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world markets, I am hereby raising the tariff charged to China by the United States of America to, drum roll please, 125%. So this just went from 104 to 125. He says effective immediately. The post is quite long here, but still at the end of the day, that's the main headline, is that he just increased it to 125.
This will be something to watch as we go on, but as Secretary Bessent has mentioned at Treasury, they cannot survive if this continues. So China does have to come to the table, and I think that's the proof in the pudding, with so many other nations either ramping up their tariffs, the European Union slapping a 25% tariff on the United States now. With our baseline tariffs, everyone now has to come to the table, and then with each and every different country, they have to address it based on their own needs. So clearly, 70 nations coming to the table to beg President Trump to renegotiate all of this. It's going to benefit us. And as he has put it so eloquently, really since 1987, since he appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show when he was around my age, we need to have more mass production in the United States. China right now is pumping out 2 to 3 factories every day. That's what they're creating and building every single day. We need to do the same with steel specifically, with jobs that will flood this market that are American-made. Just look at Hyundai and Toyota, 2 great Japanese and Korean companies who are dominating in the Southeast and up in Michigan with different production lines. The UAW very happy. They were with President Trump last week because they are now being heard for the first time in years.
President Trump also talking about Apple products and maybe having them manufactured right here in the US of A. I don't know about you, but I would want the first iPhone made in the United States of America. That'd be kind of cool. But a great product there, of course. But, you know, building here, manufacturing here, keeps the jobs here, our national security here. And we heard from the great Stephen Miller, the deputy chief of the White House. And this is a post that the White House has been sharing. I know I shared it on Truth Social a while ago, but it really breaks down the simplicity of America First and Liberation Day and what that means. It's basically us getting away from what the world's trying to dominate and let us be an independent nation in many ways, including in the world economy. So speaking of the globe, we know that as yesterday we saw with Carolyn Levitt, she said that we have 2 foreign leaders coming up, April 14th and the 17th. So the El Salvador President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador on the 14th. And on the 17th, Italian President Giorgia Meloni will visit the White House. And we see a lot, to your point, they're calling the president, everybody, these 70 countries, and they're saying, okay, what do we got to do to get right with you?
Right, and these are two great leaders who have done so well in El Salvador and Italy, really changing their countries for the better, strengthening their economies. And with El Salvador, as Kristi Noem was there visiting, great DHS secretary, thankful that these really bad hombres have been taken away from the United States to now be prosecuted in their native El Salvador. So a good, bright future for not only the United States, but throughout Central America as we look to reclaim our influence throughout the Southern Hemisphere especially. I was looking at a chart today. 20 years ago, most countries relied on the United States for trade. Now most of them, especially Africa and South America, relying on Chinese influence. It's very bad for the world, especially when it comes to the dictatorship that is the Chinese Communist Party. Even with those chips you're mentioning, Matthew, we would get many of those in new free trade deals with Taiwan. They're a free and independent nation. They want to be free and independent, and now China trying to aggress on them with war games just off of their island. So this goes into more than just simply building a stronger economy. It's about international security.
Exactly, and that's what we're seeing with President Trump and Stephen Miller and Scott Bessent and everybody, the Jameson Greer as well, when it comes to the trade situation. Howard Lutnick, I mean, everybody's working on it. They're aware of it. So we do know that President Trump just increased the Chinese import tariff to 125%. China is now taxing our imports at a rate of 84%. So that is a trade war. We're seeing it happen before our eyes. But still, the United States, you need us in order to be successful if you're going to do this trade. So really, the negotiations continuing, hopefully, there with China. We'll see what happens. In other news, we're hearing about Doge, that there is this horrible yet incredible discovery by Doge, but that's all the news we have from it. That's all that Carolyn Levitt talked about yesterday. She said she didn't want to get ahead of the president, but still.
I wonder if it pertains to the salaries made by some of these congressmen over the course of many, many years. I know Doge was looking into that recently, but the insidious nature of, simply things like Politico. They were basically a state-funded and run paper and online publication over the course of the last several years. So were those op-eds truly op-eds by their reporters, by their columnists, or were they simply propaganda from the Barack Hussein Obama, Otto Penn Joe, Comrade Kamala mission? And what about Crooked Hillary, who had so much influence over so many different outlets? And the fact that she actually spied on Donald Trump's campaign nearly a decade ago. Liberty and justice for all. That's what this administration is about. Truly constitutional governance once again. And the fact that many of them were investigated by evil people. I don't know, if I was some of those other folks, I might be running away, trying to go elsewhere, because you might be in trouble.
I have to smile right now because this is conservative media. This is not mainstream media. What Robert just said right there with the mic drop is not going to be heard on the fake news ever. And it's really awesome to be able to have the freedom of speech, but also to speak truth into darkness. We're seeing a lot of light out there these days because we have someone that is on the side of light, on the side of the right wing, and we see that in President Trump. But it's just great, it's just kind of having almost a flashback here because I'm watching you sit and listening to what Robert was saying. And in any other time anchoring or reporting in other markets around the country over the years, you would have never heard something like that. So good on you.
Thank you, sir.
It's awesome to do that.
Truth of the matter.
Yeah, it's truth of the matter. So, all right, so it is a bottom of the hour, 1:28, almost bottom of the hour, 1:30 here. Why don't we go to another set of some of the highlights. Director, if we have that, please let me know when it's ready, of last night's speech by President Trump, which was so awesome. There were so many great points made by the president, but also many great moments as well. So let's take a look just last night.
During the same period last year, Joe Biden released more than 184,000 illegal aliens into our country. Think of it. Many of these people were from jails and mental institutions, as I said. Since my inauguration, we've released a grand total of nine. And they were all, in all cases, medical emergencies. We did that for medical emergency reasons. Last month, we officially designated Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And thanks to the Supreme Court yesterday, and today we had a big ruling too. We had a very big ruling today. But we will continue to deport these monsters under the Alien Enemies Act. Think of that, Alien Enemies Act. Can you believe it? The Democrats are a broken party with bad policy. They've lost so much, and both as politicians and as people, they've lost. The stage is set for a monumental victory for the Republicans in the midterms. And many of you, I guess most of you, so many great congressmen and women here. You got some senators here also, but many of you all of you are up. We've got to win. We've got to work really hard, and we got to win, because there's no way they should be winning based on policy, and it's ultimately about policy. We simply have to keep our promises to the people, and we have to very simply put America first. Put America first.
Quite the speech last night in Washington, D.C. Now, the breaking news, of course, President Trump announces a 90-day pause on tariffs for all countries except China, whose tariffs will be raised to 125%, reading specifically from Insider Paper, but still, that's exactly what we just saw on President Trump's Truth Social account. So that's breaking news right now into the RSBN newsroom, as it is officially the bottom of the hour, 1:30. And you were talking about the hostages, the former hostages that went up on stage yesterday. What a moment there when they were able to have that time, and President Trump just stood back and let them talk. It was quite awesome.
And that was really the proof in the pudding that from his speech to Congress just a month ago, all we really needed to do was change the president, because when it comes to securing the border, designating foreign terrorist organizations as such, FTOs, whether it be Tren de Aragua, MS-13, the border cartels, as well as this moment, bringing back all of these hostages, whether they be from the Hamas attack on Israel from October 7th of 2023, whether it be Mark Fogel in Russia, the 2 Americans who were stuck in Mexico over the course of the last few weeks, the Venezuelan hostages, 6 of them roughly, that were received by Rick Grenell. Also Steve Witkoff negotiating throughout the world these hostages that were held under the auto pen who left people to die. I have not left the country since, I can't remember my last trip. I want to say that was, I think, Ireland. It was during the first Trump term, because I was personally worried, especially being someone on the right side of history, that auto pen would have just left me by myself to die, perhaps. And so many of these people endured the unbelievable, have truly seen hell and back, as President Trump put it, especially with the Israeli and Jewish Americans who were hostage from Hamas and Hezbollah. It was like a viewing of the Holocaust. Not that you can compare the two, but just the conditions that people were put in were absolutely horrible. And fortunately, I mean, some of these monsters, whether it's the Lebanese government or others who are working in conjunction with Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthi rebels, are at least getting those remains back of those who were tortured and murdered. Just a horrible thought to think the people who suffered under Otto Penn's incompetence.
It's so true. And if you're watching last night's speech, President Trump, with the serious points that he was making about tariffs in our country and, the desire to see the midterms be successful, which they will be. I mean, think about the wins that are happening right now. But also, when he brought up the hostages, the tone of the speech after the hostage speech was very serious and very powerful. Again, if you missed last night's speech, please watch it. I mean, think about it. It's kind of like, it was like a State of the Union in a way for just us, for those that watched all those rallies over the years. So if you get a chance, just go to yesterday's speech. It was the NRCC dinner speech by the president. We're going to go to the hostage speeches here in just a second. But these are the numbers that were shared, and then we'll talk about it a little bit after this moment. But it looks like that there are 24 hostages that are still there held by Hamas. 35 more have passed away, are dead. So 24 are alive, 35 are dead. 33 so far President Trump and the team has brought back. So we're looking at 24 more that are alive to be brought back. So I just wanted to share some context with you. And if you have a chance, or whatever you're doing right now, if you have a minute to watch this in full, please do. It's a very powerful situation that happened last night. Take a look.
Thank you. Thank you very much, President Trump. I'm here, and I'm alive. President Trump, you saved my life. You saved the life of 33 hostages that because of your efforts and your setting the hostage crisis at the high priority of what you are doing among all of the enormous issues and things that you're dealing with since you came into your position as President of the United States. You set the hostage crisis at the highest priority. You got 33 of us home alive. We all owe our lives to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And please continue your tremendous efforts and your tremendous actions and your tremendous accomplishments. Continue, and we will get, with your help, all of the remaining 59 hostages still in Gaza back home. Thank you.
Thank you, President Trump, for bringing my kid home. Keith's grandchildren are the happiest. Keith's children are the happiest. Keith's family is the happiest. But I am the most happiest. Thank you so much. We need you. We need you to bring all the hostages home. There's 24 that are alive and 59 to come home to their families, just like I received Keith, they needed to. We have Yair standing here with us, and Eitan, his brother, is underneath the ground now, begging to get out. So I'm begging you all to help us. We need your help. Thank you.
So, my name is Yair. I've been in hell for 498 days. I've been held in hell with Hamas terrorists. When we didn't see the light, but we feel, when we heard President Trump get elected, we knew there is now someone who makes the things happen. We needed, I'm sorry about my English. I am half Argentinian, half Israeli. I'm sorry. We knew we need someone who do the things. That's President Trump. We are here because of President Trump. Thank you. Thank you for your efforts. It's really surreal to be here. You know, I'm a simple man. I'm running the bar in the kibbutz in Niroz, where I was live, and now I'm here with President Trump, who's running the world. We are thankful. We are really thankful, but humbly we ask for more. The last push, the last 59 people, the last 59 hostages, among them my brother, Eitan, and what is Liran brothers, Zivi and Gali, and Eviatar, all the brothers, all the families. In a few days we mark the Passover, right? Pesach. It's a family. Family time. So I expect that in the next Seder, when my mother make the kneidalach, the matzah balls, that my brother Eitan, my little brother, who I call little, but he's 38, but it's my little brother. I hope he can sit with us in the Seder of Passover, and wow, it's overwhelming. I just want to tell you again, thank you. Thank you very much.
You know what I like about President Trump? Many things, but another thing is right after that speech is done by the people that were hostages, he sits there, he stands there and just talks to them. He's not in a rush to get back onto the podium, like hurry up, get off the stage. He's not. He takes his time. He does not care that there's live TV watching, there's all these people in the crowd. He doesn't care. He cares about the actual situation, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really extraordinary to watch. Just amazing perseverance, and our thoughts and prayers with so many who have suffered because of this and the lives lost for no reason other than hatred of the fact that they are Jewish believers and because of the color of their skin. It's racism, it's evil, anti-Semitism, a horrible scourge that remains to this day. And we hope that this will all come to an end very soon. And we know with a president like Donald John Trump, he will take responsibility in caring for those, especially our citizens who have suffered at the hands of absolute monsters.
Exactly. So we know that President Trump is the right guy for the job, obviously. He was so heavily voted for, the majority of this nation on November 5th, 2024. What a day that was here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. And, sitting beside Robert McNeely, who was living in Georgia at the time, being able to read and say that the state of Georgia has gone to President Trump was quite the moment. How awesome was that?
Oh, special. It really was. And it was a long time coming. And thank you to Chairman Josh McCoon and Chairwoman Marcy McCarthy of DeKalb, as well, among many others who literally had blood, sweat, and tears in their efforts in order to save Georgia and in turn save our great country. And I know that was big for you as well with your home state, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, going for President Trump, all the swing states going his direction. And it's something that many of us forecast prior to going in. But what a campaign, incredibly robust. A lot of that communications and rapid response team now working in the White House. So you can rest easy at night knowing that the professionals are in charge once again. A coalition of Republicans and Democrats and independents and people who simply want to put this nation first above the deep state bureaucracy that had dominated Washington politics for more than half a century.
And staying vigilant as we win every day. We see that with President Trump. And just to wrap up that story about election night and then hearing, we wear these earpieces, as many people know there, when you're out in the storms. I can't hear you. Well, we actually wear them. And our COO and president here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, Grace O'Donnell, said in our ear that the presidency is going to President Trump. Donald Trump has won the presidency. And we repeated that to you, and it was quite the night. If you want to see a little bit of it, go ahead. This is a shameless plug to my Truth Social page. But I'm going to get on X, I think, too. I haven't been on X in a while, but I'm going to get back on there. But on my Truth Social page, it's pinned. It's a 4-minute video if you like to watch and just relive that moment. I put some dramatic music underneath it just to enjoy it a little bit more. But what a night that was. More than 5 million viewers watching through all of our platforms. And on Inauguration Day, more than 6 million viewers. And just a lot of viewers, even right now, just thousands of people watching and on replay. So we don't take this lightly here at the network. This is something we know that we're responsible to share the common sense information that's happening out there and just share with you the news. And the news that we see is coming right out of that White House. A lot of great news stories. A lot of times mainstream media always wants to cover the so-called bad news, but it's their spin, which is not even true. They put a fake headline on there, and that's why it's called fake news.
That's the truth.
Right?
Right, because a lot of times it's presented as factual evidence or news, and there's spin to that. But that's why this White House will push back on that. And we have not seen a White House in recent memory that has allowed so many outlets into the James S. Brady briefing room. Of course, there's somewhat of a battle now about the future of the White House correspondents who once chose that seat being independent from the White House, but then some of them became their own cabal as a result. So great to see that more voices and new voices having access to the head of our government in the executive branch more than ever before.
It's awesome to see it. So a huge USA chant and round of applause for Carolyn Levitt, that communications team, and what's happening there at the White House for the American people, we the people. It's awesome to see it happen. It's awesome to cover it. And we can't cover all this without some great sponsors that are patriotic companies. And you, the viewer, if you'd like to donate, we can talk about that a little bit later. But angelpace.com, you can use the RSBN promo code, purchase the Miracle Cream or other products that are on angelpace.com. So you see that information right there on your screen. Thank you to Angel Pace for being a great sponsor out of Spring, Texas. Also, AmericanFinancing.net, Robert, AmericanFinancing.net.
Yes, you can reach out to them today and you will get up to $1,600 saved because they are able to delay at least 2 payments. So it's $800 a month, and 2 months savings worth can be up to that $1,600. Great to do if you own a home, a townhome, or any kind of property as we look to place our best bets against inflation and the stagnation from the last administration that caused us to skyrocket to $36 trillion. President Trump speaking about this often, and home ownership perhaps one of the bigger purchases you will make in your lifetime. So scale back your mortgage. Don't be stressed out, especially with tax season. Go to AmericanFinancing.net/RSBN to look at all of your options.
All right, so it's 1:46 Eastern Time, Wednesday, April 9th. I'm Matthew Alvarez alongside Robert McNeely. Thanks so much for streaming in with us. As soon as we see a live feed there, as we'll see the president with some racing champions. We don't know who they are, so we'll see together live with you. He's also going to be signing some executive orders. The president will be at the Oval Office a little bit later. If there's no live feed of that, we can always upload that to Rumble and other platforms so you can watch and see exactly what those EOs are. In the meantime, President Trump and the White House, they just released a new video. This based on within the past 24 hours in that 24/7 news cycle, all about making America energy independent again. Let's take a look at that video from the White House.
Today we're taking historic action to help American workers, miners, families, and consumers. We're ending Joe Biden's war on beautiful, clean coal once and for all. We're going to put the miners back to work. Under the executive order that I will sign in a few moments, we're slashing unnecessary regulations that targeted the beautiful, clean coal. We will rapidly expedite leases for coal mining on federal land, streamline permitting. We will end the government bias against coal, and we're going to unlock the sweeping authorities of the Defense Production Act to turbocharge coal mining in America. Pound for pound, coal is the single most reliable, durable, secure, and powerful form of energy there is on Earth today. The value of untapped coal in our country is 100 times greater than the value of all the gold at Fort Knox. And we're going to unleash it and make America rich and powerful again. Together we're going to tap that magnificent potential to give our people the glorious future that they deserve.
It's a golden era, it's a renaissance in this country, and it starts with manufacturing and producing goods here in the country. It's not only national security, but to the benefit of many hardworking generations of people who know this trade, know it well, and will be able to really put food on the table for their families as a result of President Trump's policies.
Exactly, and we've always heard it in all those speeches, drill, baby, drill. That's what that's all about yesterday, including the beautiful, clean coal that President Trump was talking about. There were a number of great executive orders signed right after the president's speech there. He also had one of the coal miners come up and share his speech, and the actual document that the coal miner was writing down his speech was signed by the president as well. And this all happened live right here on Right Side. More great moments, but also great executive orders being signed to make our country energy independent again. And doesn't this remind you of those 20 core promises? I mean, he's just going through it. I feel like last month or January and some of February was, okay, southern border, let's get that kicking and going. And that continues. And then it's the economy and energy and tariffs. And he's knocking them out of the park 1 month at a time right now.
Well, he really is. And well, this is going to be a great pace through the rest of the administration. I mean, imagine where we'll be January of 2029 with an economy that's actually working for the American people and a dollar stronger than ever. And that's on top of just the brilliance of this great nation being sea to shining sea, perhaps an iron dome that will be over this nation to protect it, will be unstoppable. Maybe even with Canada and Greenland as part of the United States in less than 4 short years. It could happen.
We'll see what happens there. And also, to your point about the Iron Dome, let's go to the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who was speaking recently in Panama about peace through strength. Again, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, speaking just recently in Panama. Take a look.
The security of our hemisphere is a top priority for the United States Department of Defense. Our mission is simple: achieve peace through strength through an America First approach. As I've said before, America First does not mean America alone. Rather, putting America first, a phrase coined by President Trump and advanced in our interests, means making our alliances and partnerships make sense for the American people and our friends. As he says, it's common sense. In this region, as we put America first, we are putting the Americas first as well.
And the Secretary of Defense, according to Breaking 911, said also will be signing a joint declaration with the Minister of the Panama Canal Affairs on the security and operation of the Panama Canal, which is a framework for U.S. warships and auxiliary ships to sail first and free through the Panama Canal. So seeing it get back into the hands of the United States government.
Right, the Chinese were running the show, and I love that point that the Secretary made. It's not about America alone. It's about America together in cooperation with its friends and allies. Harkening back to the founders, they all said that trading with other nations is good, mutually beneficial, but no entangling alliances. And also, protect your country at the end of the day. That's what we saw with the Monroe Doctrine when we were a young nation dealing with the War of 1812 and that attempted comeback from the British Empire to take back its once owned lands and territories. But President Monroe at the time did not want the influence of rich and powerful European companies to meddle in the business of the United States, especially as it looked to expand its trade with Central and South America way back when, the 19th century. So we continue that today, and President Trump, I like how he's using what other recent living former executives have not done while at the Resolute desk or whatever desk they were using, according to President Trump just last week in the Rose Garden signing, and that's specifically dealing with the Alien Enemies Act. The Supreme Court ruling that President Trump does have the authority, revoking their and overturning their old order that the administration did not. Perhaps there was some confusion or maybe some fear or intimidation taking place on the part of the courts, but we know the judicial branch, in some situations, especially these district judges, trying to implement their own revisionist history or overstepping their bounds in constitutional governance to try to usurp the authority of the executive.
Yeah, but then you go to the highest law or the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court, and you get shot down. So that's what happened there recently with that one. So the White House about 6 minutes ago saying, quote, new new Truth Social from President Trump, 125% tariff on China, as we reported earlier, a 90-day pause and lowered 10% reciprocal tariff for other countries. So a 90-day pause for other countries as we go and focus in on China right now. So that's the latest that we're seeing from the White House at this point at 1:53 Eastern Time. Also awaiting the photo op with the racing champions. So those of you that like Indy and IndyCar and Formula One, NASCAR, and all of the other racing out there, it's going to be quite awesome. Hopefully we'll see champions from all of those types of racing.
Yes, a great tradition, especially down here in the South, to enjoy those Talladega nights and all of those races that really are throughout our country now. And I think about most of those metropolitan areas tend to have a big racetrack near them, again, bringing many jobs and spectators to view those exciting times.
Let's go to one of our great sponsors, Kalshi.com/RSBN. When will Bitcoin hit $150,000? Well, you can bet, trade, do what you like right there on Kalshi.com. And I'm going to go to the website while you share a little bit more information about Kalshi to see what other questions and other things that people are trading and betting on right now.
And that is KALSHI.com/RSBN. You can trade live now by scanning that QR code or go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. Trade on the most important events. So it's sports, culture, politics, these crucial questions that will shape the nation. You can place a bet on them. So do so today.
What will Carolyn Levitt say during her next press briefing? That's right here on Kalshi. How about the Masters tournament winner? Is it going to be Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy? How about the amateur movie Rotten Tomatoes score? Will it be above 60 or above 62? How about the highest temperature in New York City today? It goes on. So there's a lot to look at there and trade and bet if you'd like at Kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's shift over to Colonial Metals Group as well. FreeGoldGuy.com, the place to go for all the information you need when it comes to gold and silver and having that backup plan to our dollar.
Shield your savings now. Make sure that you have a game plan in these very questionable times, regardless of conservative governance and regardless of who's at the top of the ticket and running the show. Still smart to have gold and silver, a time-tested commodity, as the Chinese Communist Party continues its war games against Taiwan and its tariff battle with the United States. FreeGoldGuy.com/RSBN. You'll find out why gold has skyrocketed in value over 7,000% since the Nixon administration went off of the gold standard in 1971. A very foolish decision by many economists holding that opinion. But you look at people like Warren Buffett, even though he might be slightly left of center, he knows where to put his money, and it's in the stock market and also in tangible gold and silver. Protect yourself and your commodities today. FreeGoldGuy.com/RSBN.
All right, so 4 minutes to the top of the hour. That's about the time that we may be seeing the president with the racing champions coming up. A bit later, scheduled on the White House schedule is a 2:30 executive order signing by President Trump. That may be live to the networks, including ours, or sometimes they record it and replay it at a later time. We'll make sure we keep our eyes out for that, and we'll play it live if it's live. If it's recorded, we will upload it to Rumble and other social platforms so you can take a look live with us. Now, let's go to a commercial break, but I want you to do this while we're in the commercial break. The favorite NASCAR driver that you've ever had, maybe from back in the day, if you're not into NASCAR, if you could think of anybody, you've got, of course, Rusty Wallace or Kyle Busch. There's other racers out there. My favorite was Rusty Wallace. So in the chat of Rumble and YouTube, go ahead and type your favorite driver. We'll talk about it after the commercial break. Do you have any on the top of your mind? Mario Andretti, maybe?
Well, Bobby Rahal is actually from Glen Ellen. He did more of those F1 and the Formula Ones. His family member actually near our lake house, they race all the time. So I know some of those Rahals back from Glen Ellen, Illinois, the Chicago area. Shout out to that wonderful racing family. But I just think about Dale Earnhardt, his legendary status, that sad crash that did take his life at the Daytona 500, but then inspired much more safety with this great competition and the great American race. And of course, Junior, his son, taking up the reins and the mantle of that wonderful legacy. So God be with the Earnhardt family as well. And just an amazing tradition that's truly all American. So it's great to see President Trump so invested in sports, racing, and baseball with the LA Dodgers, but also, of course, I think his personal favorite, golf, a champion in his own right.
Exactly. So go ahead and type in those favorite NASCAR drivers, whether back in the day, Richard Petty, Kyle Petty, whatever racer you like. We're going to take a look on both Rumble and YouTube and read off some of the names when we come right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
President Trump is keeping his promises and saving America. And your kids can learn all about it for free with a new Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide shows kids all the steps President Trump is taking to put America back on top of the world stage, including building a strong economy, protecting our borders, and negotiating trade deals. It's an exciting way for kids to learn about President Trump's outstanding leadership. Act now and get a free bonus guide, The Courage of the President. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network Live. I'm Robert McNeely with Matthew Alvarez. We're just reading through some of your comments. Of course, Danica Patrick, how can I forget the great MAGA supporter, a lot like Sage Steele, who was drawn into this movement because she was tired of being pushed around.
Exactly. So it's great to see Danica Patrick as one of the people that you guys like out there. We're also seeing on Rumble right now, Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson again, Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, Petty, Dale Sr. Let's see if there's anybody else on that. Do you have anybody on YouTube there?
Of course, the Wall Trips, Daryl and Michael, great announcers as well, very jovial and big purveyors of the sport. So excited to see that maybe some of those veterans, those legends, will be joining today's superstars with President Trump as he is awaiting a photo opportunity with racing's highest champions of the day. And another beautiful day in the White House in Washington, D.C. Of course, that emerald green seems to be all prepared for the Masters. As we know, Augusta looks gorgeous as ever. In between some of this broadcast, I'm catching the Par 3 contest, which I attended 2 years ago, and talk about a star-studded event of legends from the past, veterans like Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, their family members, to today's superstars like Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, amongst many others competing for that green jacket.
Who is your favorite golfer of all time?
Phil Mickelson, hands down.
There you go, Phil Mickelson. He knows who his favorite golfer is. There you go. Awesome stuff. You can share if you'd like. Again, who your favorite golfer is if you'd like on Rumble or YouTube. All right, so we are awaiting the president there at the White House as it's just a few minutes after the top of the hour. Thanks so much for streaming in with us on this beautiful Wednesday, April 9th. If it's not beautiful outside where you are, it's still beautiful in the sense of having President Trump in that White House, man. It's much better to have a great leader with a great cabinet than the other way around like it was the past 4 years. So to your point, a beautiful day in Washington, D.C. Margot Martin on X posted a couple photos just from outside the White House there. Beautiful day right now in Washington, D.C. Let's go to one of our sponsors, 1775 coffee. Right now, it's not just a caffeine fix. It's actually infused with CAAKG, a breakthrough compound shown to support cellular health, boost endurance, and even reduce biological age by up to 8 years in just 7 months. So inside the bundle, you're getting their longevity coffee, the ultra rare Peabody roast, and exclusive 1775 gear. So quite the bundle here with this company.
Oh, yes. And you have the chance to win a Cybertruck as well. So you're looking at roughly a savings of $150 just with the bundle alone. And why would you bet against longevity in addition to a delicious cup of coffee? Killing two birds with one stone right there. 1775coffee.com/RSBN. We're always trying to look younger as part of the news and the media, the broadcast journalism that keeps us shining and smiling all the way to the bank. So longevity bundle, like I said, I get all of these, so there's only 1,000 available. You better order it before I do. It's a great deal. $99 for, look at all you get for that.
That's
including
amazing.
The chance at a Cybertruck. That sounds like fun.
This is true. Robert, he gets all the products here at the network. He's not kidding. I mean, it's great to do that. I should probably get on that train.
And thank you to Patriot Addict Deals. I had a surprise gift come yesterday in their mystery box. So thank you so much to them as well.
What is it?
It was great. I'll bring it on in and show you guys what happened because it's a different sponsorship here. But of course, that Trump knife, among other things. I got a nice USA hat. But now I need to get some 1775 coffee along with that in order to enjoy longevity while I'm basking in the glory of every day. It's just like Christmas. I mean, literally last night I was like, oh, a Patriot box. How exciting is this?
Awesome stuff. 1775coffee.com/RSBN. All right, so we've been going over a lot of the news of the day. So if you're just joining us right now, we've been on the air for about an hour, about 65 minutes. So if you missed any of the news and commentary at all, you can always, you said re-rack and roll back in the day in media, but maybe just scrub back or rewind if you'd like, or just watch the replay if you'd like to hear some of the commentary. We're going to continue in some of that here as we await that live feed from the White House. Again, President Trump has two things on his schedule today. One is that right there, the photo op with the racing champions. The other is an executive order signing at the White House, most likely not a live feed that any network gets. It might be a recorded one. We'll be able to upload that and share that with you. Any news that we get out of that, we'll be sharing that with you. Now, again, some of the information that we are learning, some of the top headlines to go over some of those. President Trump going from 104, the tariff against China, the 104%, now it's 125% against China because China's hit back and said, well, we're going to go 84% against your goods. So that's going back and forth. A 90-day pause on the reciprocal trade with other countries at this point. So that's one of the headlines. Other than that, we're really, monitoring any news going on within the Beltway and outside the Beltway of Washington, D.C.
Yes, and if you have any America First stories that pertain to you and the importance in your neck of the woods, feel free to write us at feedback@rsbn.tv. That's feedback@rsbn.tv because we want to be your voice now as a live desk here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. You have been following us now for a decade, and thank you for doing so. It's been an exciting journey as we hope to help solve the problems of the country with you, the American people, really being your go-to live desk that shows you everything in its entirety, whether it's the speeches from last night to addresses to Congress, everything President Trump, Vice President Vance, of course, our First Lady, our Second Lady, and the 119th Congress, an agenda that President Trump has wholeheartedly endorsed going back to the Republican National Convention. And he said last last night too. Any Republican naysayers that want to join the Democrats, you really shouldn't do that, because this is a good bundle, one bill for the passage of a strong strategic budget in addition to all of these wonderful tariffs. House Speaker Mike Johnson wanting to get this done along with Republican leadership. The only ones who seem to be in the way lately, these Kentucky Republicans, for different reasons, whether you have Rand Paul, Mitch McConnell, or Thomas Massie. And Massie, to me, is the biggest grandstander. He really is. Someone who you never really know what side of the aisle he'll be on until he wants to make a name for himself. And it's really kind of ridiculous. Get behind the MAGA populist movement, or you might as well change your registration at this point. That's how I feel about Mr. Thomas Massie. A nice man, but regardless, someone who wants to get his 15 seconds of fame on a recurring basis. But quite frankly, he would be fired if you're on The Apprentice, Mr. Massie. So maybe look into either joining the other party or getting another job, because you're not needed.
Nothing more to say from me other than let's go to President Trump's speech from just last night. If you missed it, a great speech last night, rally-esque. It had all the ingredients and makings of a rally yesterday, from hearing the Lee Greenwood song at the beginning to the Village People YMCA at the end. President Trump danced yesterday. But within that framework, an absolutely amazing speech. Director, do we have that clip ready to go? As it's 2:09, Wednesday, April 9th, right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's just go to last night real quick.
The Democrats are a broken party with bad policy. They've lost so much, and look, both as politicians and as people, they've lost. The stage is set for a monumental victory for the Republicans in the midterms. And many of you, I guess most of you, so many great congressmen and women here. You got some senators here also, but many of you all of you are up. We've got to win. We've got to work really hard, and we got to win, because there's no way they should be winning based on policy, and it's ultimately about policy. We simply have to keep our promises to the people, and we have to very simply put America first. Put America first. They don't want tariffs on themselves. And it's very simple. We're making deals, and people are paying tariffs. Countries are paying tariffs. Right now, China's paying a 104% tariff. Think of it, 104%. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but they charged us for many items 100%, 125%. Many countries have. They've ripped us off left and right. But now it's our turn to do the ripping. That's okay. We're going to make our country even stronger, stronger than it ever was. And 26 Republicans will fight for every state, every seat, and every single vote. We're going to fight like hell. I'm proud to be the president for the workers, not the outsourcers. The president who stands up for Main Street, not Wall Street, who protects the middle class, not the political class, and who defends America, not trade cheaters all over the globe. They're trade cheaters. They cheated on us. They cheated with tariffs on us. They stole our money. They stole our jobs.
All right, so a great speech yesterday by the Commander-in-Chief. You can watch it again right here on Right Side if you'd like, on Rumble or YouTube, wherever you watch, and just replay it. A great moment there. We're seeing some breaking news out of the insider paper here. U.S. stocks skyrocket. NASDAQ 100 up more than the NASDAQ 100 up more than 10%, the biggest gain since October of 2008. So we're seeing that happen. Disclose.tv saying the same thing. U.S. stocks surging like there is no tomorrow right now. So we're seeing the stock market. There's the Dow Jones Industrial Average as well. So always good to see that for our economy too.
Yes, absolutely. With all the questions surrounding tariffs, I think the proof is in the pudding. We look at things by quarter and even on a daily, weekly basis in this country. China looks at it 300 years down the road, a much different model. And that's why, as President Trump said, slow down, hold on. Money is going to be coming back into this country and the dollar will strengthen. So you already see that now skyrocketing. That's not just like it's a thing that happens every day in this regard. So the Dow Jones going through the roof. Always good to see that, as they're roughly about $1.45 away from ringing that bell at 4 Eastern. And perhaps President Trump can return at some point during his presidency, as he did during the campaign, to ring that very famous bell. What a high honor that he has had, as he was someone who reshaped the entire real estate industry in New York and that beautiful skyline with Trump Tower.
It's got to be so awesome. He has to be just thinking sometimes, man, I'm really here. I'm at the stock market ringing this bell as the President of the United States, being from New York City. What an awesome moment that was, which you saw right here on right side as well. And to your point, Robert, you see the graph there. Look at all the green shooting up right there. So we'll monitor that as well. So we're just live. At the end of the day, we're sharing everything that we see coming across our desk in the newsroom and just monitoring various things, but also bringing you all this live coverage, including what we'll see soon will be the president's photo op with those racing champions. Also on the schedule today, President Trump signing a number of executive orders. The question is, at this point, as we're about 14 minutes past the hour, the 2 o'clock photo op was scheduled for that time. So as soon as we see a live feed, we'll go there. If for some reason this is a replay from a little bit later, we'll also upload that to Rumble and YouTube as we, track the schedule and we go live along with that schedule sometimes. And we'll bring you the latest as we get it right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Awesome sponsor, so many products. Let's talk about a few of them.
Yes, well, we have the MyPillow itself, the original, but the spring sheet sale. Get these Percale sheets or the Giza Dream sheets. They're from the Mediterranean, some of the best cotton in the world, but manufactured and produced right here in Minnesota under the tutelage and the leadership of the great Mike Lindell, a purveyor of free speech, a fighter for election integrity, and someone who might be the next governor of Minnesota. Pure speculation right now. But we'd love to have you, Mr. Mike Lindell, if you happen to be watching. Thank you for sponsoring us. But if you want to make that announcement right here on the right side of history with Right Side Broadcasting, we'd sure love it, because Minnesota needs a great representative in executive leadership, as great as the people in that beautiful state way up north. Of course, a beautiful place year-round to enjoy, although it's pretty cold during the winter, but you can play some hockey or get those ice skates on after a good night's rest with MyPillow.
Exactly, and I've not been to Minnesota yet. I've only been to Iowa. I was getting close to the border, doing some coverage here at Right Side, but I look forward to the time to be able to go to a Minnesota Wild hockey game up there. I know that that's a big fan base for the NHL Wild. Anyway, been to a lot of NHL arenas out there. I think the last number is, 14 or 15 arenas around the country. That's one arena I haven't been to. I just love hockey. It's a very fun sport to watch in person. Anyway, that's beside the point. We do know, though, on the chat, when we were talking before about some of the favorite racers that are out there, as we're talking about racing champions, we saw, of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mark Martin, and on, Kyle Petty, so many people. The point is that I did see somebody say, we want Mike Lindell as the Minnesota governor. So a random comment in there for the state of Minnesota. So we'll see what happens.
Well, we'll see what happens, too, with reshaping of 2026. These midterms so crucial because the Southeast here in Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, also in Florida, all these great governors, term limited. Some will perhaps have a political future. We're watching Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia. Perhaps he will announce and run for the U.S. Senate against Jon Ossoff, but he might even have a challenger in the primary. We'll see what happens. Georgia's a very interesting political state. How about Governor Ron DeSantis? We know that, God willing, his successor will be Byron Donalds from Bonita Springs, Florida, that beautiful town in the southwest region of that Sunshine State, of course, endorsed by President Trump, and Attorney General Ken Paxton of Texas, going through so much lawfare over the last couple of years, just like President Trump did on a national scale, announcing he's taking on Senator John Cornyn, who tried to become majority leader, losing out to Senator John Thune. And this is a welcome challenge for America First principles. I was thrilled by that announcement yesterday. Ken Paxton is a tough cookie, and I think to take on someone like Senator John Cornyn, who more often than not, sides with the deep state and those far-left Democrats on Capitol Hill.
Exactly. So go Ken Paxton. We see that here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Now, Scott Bessent, he just said about the tariffs that are happening. This was airing on C-SPAN, but also Breaking Down in One reporting. Do not retaliate and you will be rewarded. Every country in the world wants to come and negotiate. We are willing to hear you. We are going to go down to a 10% baseline tariff for them, and China will be raised to 125% due to their insistence on escalation. So that just a few moments ago from Scott Bessent. So yeah, we're monitoring the latest news here as we await the president there at the White House to meet with the racing champions. So thanks so much for joining us here live right now. We may go back to a couple of those speech sound bites from last night. Again, just a powerful speech there by the president as we continue to monitor the latest news.
This is exciting. The golden era of America, not even 100 days in yet. That's the big scale that we look at for success or failures of an administration. But every day, more winning, winning, winning. And it's going quickly because we know there's narrow majorities, and we're speaking to many guests about the reality of how does the Republican Party move and continue this MAGA populist movement without President Trump at the top of the ticket. These rallies will be great next year, and I'm sure that endorsement, the most coveted in all of politics right now, even some Democrats, I think, would appreciate that endorsement given the success of this administration.
Exactly. President Trump confirming yesterday that there will be some tele-rallies and in-person rallies for the midterm elections. Now, that's not until November of next year, but still something to talk about because the wins are needed for the President Trump agenda to continue on for the back half of the presidency. And somebody was saying, well, we do know that obviously the amount of wins that are happening, there should be no problem when it comes to a lot of midterm victories for the Republican Party. But somebody on CNN, I think, called him an analyst, said he's not really a lame duck. He's a soaring eagle right now, for this administration. So great to hear that, but still no one will really trust CNN, I don't think, ever again. That's because they lied to the people for so many years.
And fortunately, there's some great freedom fighters on that network who set it straight, but yeah, it's true how these networks have really not been forthright with you, the American people. And the sad part about it, Matthew, I think, is that a lot of local outlets that are really fantastic, really, I spoke to Christina Loren about this past couple of days regarding the storms that just took place. Of course, our thoughts and prayers with those in Western Tennessee. Throughout Arkansas, 93% of the state was under some form of tornado warning, watch, thunderstorm warnings. We faced it here in Auburn. I know that you had delayed flights coming back from Texas given all the water that came down. Fortunately, no one really harmed in Auburn specifically, but just more inconvenienced with the water rising. So many of our rivers doing all of that. But speaking to Christina on that specifically is that people don't watch their local news as much because you're getting so much opinion from the guys at the top. In turn, you might miss some of that important weather or those notices. If you don't have the alerts on your iPhone, you might be too little too late, because I asked her, what happens? Why do we lose, say, 18 people the other day or 40 going back a couple of weeks from all of those storms? And she said sometimes people are just not paying attention to their local news because of the woke reality that people want to turn elsewhere for their media.
Exactly. And Kentucky also dealing with some flooding as well, as I was watching that this morning on a different network. So here's the thing. I think at the end of the day, for me and my family, just to be personal with you guys, I've turned into my own meteorologist. Mm-hmm. And how do you do that? Well, I've got a decent amount of experience, though, working in local news over the years, and I covered a lot of storms. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything from blizzards, tornadoes, aftermaths of hurricanes. I was on the beaches. I was that guy, with the wind, that kind of thing. But the point is, I always talk about this app, and I'll talk about it more because it's really a good app. So Radar Scope, I'm not paid to say this, but I just personally want to share it. It is $10 per year to use it, but Radar Scope is so specific on when there's tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings. You can really track the weather better than any app that I've seen on the market. So there you go. If you'd like to follow Radar Scope and check it out on your Google Play Store or your Apple store there, you can do that. So anyway, shifting gears a bit, we know that the president has an upcoming schedule when it comes to foreign leaders who will be visiting that White House right there. President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador will be there on April 14th. Just a few days later, on April 17th, the Italian President Giorgia Meloni will be visiting the White House. That per the White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt just the other day. So we're seeing more foreign leaders show up to that White House.
Two fantastic leaders, and we're excited to see when President Trump will ultimately take his first international trip, perhaps after day 100. We know that King Charles III, His Majesty, inviting per his Prime Minister, Mr. Starmer of the United Kingdom, sending that handwritten letter to him, President Trump, during his state visit, that he would like to have President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump join His Majesty in the United Kingdom. Unprecedented, being that that would be the second state dinner hosted by the United Kingdom for this one president. So that should be fun. Of course, his mother did that, the late, great Queen Elizabeth II. Of course, that was a wonderful celebration, and there's a lot of pageantry behind the Royal Kingdom of the United Kingdom, so I'm sure they might join in discussion, dialogue, perhaps enjoying some equestrian outings, as well as, I'm sure, some fine dining and dialogue over our two great nations. But then again, Saudi Arabia also wanting to host President Trump, with continued talks and discussion, as they've been so gracious to Secretary of State Marco Rubio and our team handling the end of the Russia-Ukrainian conflict.
Exactly, and so we're hearing that that Saudi Arabian trip will be in May of this year, so just coming up. As the camera guy is not knowing that his tripod is loose and the camera just dropped, but that's all right. That's kind of fun to see on live TV. Look at those beautiful cars right there. You're seeing NASCAR, you're seeing Formula One, you're seeing all sorts of high-speed racing vehicles. This is a live picture, and I believe that is that President Trump right there in the middle? It's too far of a vantage point right now. Why don't we, as soon as it looks like they're ready to go, we'll go there live. Meantime, shifting gears, but well, no pun intended, but shifting gears to sports, Robert, Keegan Bradley synced a hole-in-one at the Masters Par 3 contest.
Oh, that is fun stuff. Of course, this is an intramural event with family members, wives, girlfriends. That's a nice shot.
Yeah.
He has a great swing. And one of those great guys that I think he's due for a major relatively soon, one of the better players without a green jacket yet, but maybe he'll add that to his collection this weekend, as he's wearing a nice sporting a green shirt, and that's on the back half of Augusta, away from the main 18, right off of the cabin and the main clubhouse. I just love it there. It's almost as if you're walking into heaven, not to be sacrilegious by any means, but when I went there, the rolling just fog kind of coming up, and every guy that was there, we were all looking at each other saying, like, wow, like, our lives are made. It was a beautiful moment.
That's awesome. Great experience right there. That's the Shell car. We don't know. I don't know. Is that a Formula One vehicle? Is that a Indy vehicle? We need to have some of the racing experts on. Now, we do see a Pennzoil 2.2 vehicle right there. So this will be quite fun to see this live picture. Now, what you're seeing on the bottom right of your screen, obviously all the cameras getting set. I told you we bring you everything from the start to the end here. You'll be seeing the president most likely leaving the White House there, exiting to the South Portico. That's where this event is happening. So we'll be going there live in just a few seconds here, just to listen in, feel what it's like to be there. That's the Joey Logano Pennzoil vehicle to the left there. So we'll see that vehicle and maybe just this other one, and we'll see what the president has to say as he is having this photo op with some of the racing champions. Why don't we go there live and just listen in right now on Right Side Broadcasting Network, bottom of the hour. Thanks for streaming in with us.
Just make sure your White House press pass is visible, please. Do you mind just putting it on? Yes, thank you.
Senator, we're actually going to seal you and get you in position over this way. I'll do whatever you want. Wonderful. No, we got to make sure you see it.
So a little bit of behind the scenes there. You can see that was some of the Secret Service, making sure everybody's organized as we get ready to see the 47th Commander-in-Chief out there with some of those high-speed vehicles. And we've been saying here on the network, or at least I've been, the pedal to the metal of what's going on out there when it comes to all of these wins by the president. Kind of timely for today as well.
Oh, absolutely. And Senator John Barrasso walking by from Wyoming, among other dignitaries, to enjoy what's sure to be a fun moment. President Trump really enjoys competition. And as he mentioned before, he has purchased a Tesla that some of the staff can ride and drive themselves on the grounds of the White House. Secret Service will not let him drive, which he said he's irritated by because it's been a while since he's driven a car. And it reminds me of The Apprentice being replayed on, I believe it's Hulu right now, but back to 2006, a great promo when he did The Apprentice out in Los Angeles right after Barron was born. And of course, he's driving up to a beautiful chateau and an estate that he said, I'm setting up my Western office here. And of course, his beautiful wife, our First Lady Melania, waiting for him, saying, hi, honey. And he said, this is where it's all going down. But he was driving up in a beautiful Rolls Royce. So President Trump, a connoisseur of beautiful American-made cars, and something that clean coal and energy provides us with the liquid gold right under our feet. So I'm sure President Trump will highlight some of that energy independence and how it benefits our sporting events.
You know what's interesting? Even though this is a photo op with some great racing champions, it'll be a great moment just in that. But if he does take questions from the press, I'm sure he's going to talk about the Chinese tariff situation and any other news that's happening right now. So this may be a mini press conference of sorts. Now, if he doesn't take any questions from the press, he is scheduled, actually at 2:30 is the schedule for an executive order signing. This racing champion photo op was scheduled for 2 o'clock. Regardless, we know that the shifting of the schedules happen every day because he is the president of the United States, of course. So what we're going to see is at least a mini presser here or at the executive order signing, which may not be live like this is. We'll have to do a tape playback where we replay it, but we would air it on our uploads of Rumble or YouTube and anywhere that you see Right Side Broadcasting Network. Just a little bit of inside baseball to let you know what's going on out there. Sometimes there's so many things going on, we have to kind of keep track of what's happening.
You know, it makes me so happy to look at the Truman balcony and think that Hillary Clinton will never be president. I don't know why. It just brings me almost as much joy as President Trump being back in office.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's great to see that South Portico there. So many great moments. That might have been where the Teslas were parked just a few weeks back as well.
Yes.
But now we have some faster cars than, well, Tesla's pretty dang quick, I'll be real.
You know, 0 to 60 in roughly a few seconds.
Yeah.
But these guys, I mean, they put their lives on the line literally when they are racing around the track. Incredible technology, clean technology as well. And Pennzoil, of course, being one of the top producers of these big NASCARs that you see on a regular basis, a huge sport down here in the Southeast. And we are excited to see President Trump really kicking back a bit, although he does work around the clock in order to make America great again. And I am very interested in seeing some updates here, perhaps taking questions from press regarding just that, Matthew, the tariffs, and now that he's freezing them for all nations other than China. So it looks like a showdown between the top economy in the world with the second runner-up. And again, there's no points for second place if you're a fan of Top Gun. And I'm sure these racing stars are just that, fans of being number one. No points for second place.
I'm going to get to that point in just a second, but the art of the deal in full force right now with President Trump. That pause for tariffs for the other countries, that's a 90-day pause. Right now, it's 125% tariff against Chinese imports. So, yeah, we're going to see how this all shapes out here soon. But to your point about Top Gun, we got to talk about Tom Cruise, because obviously in both Top Gun and Maverick, but also Days of Thunder, the NASCAR movie. Please tell me you've seen that one.
Oh, it's a great one.
It is good.
Yeah.
Cole Trickle.
Can't go wrong with it. Playing some immortal characters that really have inspired not only the media world and cinema, but Western civilization as a whole. And of course, our thoughts and prayers with Val Kilmer's family. He was a legendary actor who passed this week from pneumonia, of course, over the last few years, suffering from throat cancer. And there's nothing more sad than a situation like that when you use your voice for your career and then have that taken away from you. So an amazing person who gave us Iceman, also a version of Batman, as well as The Doors, of course, playing the famous Mr. Morrison, the great rock star. So Val Kilmer, our thoughts and prayers with him as he rests in eternity. And President Trump, a big fan of everything Western civilization, America, and of course these racing stars today. As we await him, we see that camera panning towards the West Wing there and the Oval Office. So the Rose Garden just on the other side of those bushes there. So I'm sure that he is likely still in there, and that's probably what press is hearing right now, and that's why you have that triple box that we have giving you that live shot as these racing champions wait for the 47th Commander-in-Chief.
Exactly, and they are at the South Portico of the White House, so as soon as the president steps out, we'll take you there live. Also, to your point, Robert, will the president have take any questions there from some of the press? I think he would. He has before, especially just even when the president was out there with Elon Musk when he was figuring out which Tesla he was going to have. So I think we're going to have a little bit of a live Q&A back and forth here. But just in case it doesn't happen, still the president to sign some executive orders a bit later in the day. We'll upload that to Rumble and YouTube and our website and other places if you'd like to check it out. Let's get to some news real quick. According to the White House, since Liberation Day, April 2nd, of course, nearly 70 countries have contacted the White House to negotiate better trade deals. And President Trump saying we're taking in $2 billion with a B dollars per day with these tariffs. Right now, there's a pause for the 90-day pause, but still, that's a lot of money.
Oh, it's an incredible amount of wealth. And we see the NASDAQ today just skyrocketing along the New York Stock Exchange. So perhaps this is the turn rather quickly into a new American economy. But we have to manufacture, we have to produce, we have to export as we once did. Perhaps as strong, if not stronger, than what happened during World War II, because it wasn't government programs that got us out of the Great Depression. Sadly, it was a massive global conflict, but steel production, people using what President Trump did actually during Operation Warp Speed and during COVID, really enhancing private and public partnerships in order to get a mission done and to infuse this American economy with that manufacturing prowess. We can do it once again. We are truly the strongest. We can't rest on our laurels, but rather get out there after it. And there's a live direct shot there of Senator John Barrasso from Wyoming, a Republican in leadership who is whipping many good votes and good legislation for the MAGA agenda.
Always good to see that. Probably a race fan himself as he's out there getting ready to see the president alongside a number of great champions in racing. So we'll take you there in just a second. Again, there may be a Q&A, a little bit of a mini press conference out there. It'd be great to hear some of that. Just to shift back to some of the fun of the day, because we're talking about racing champions here. We did ask earlier, for those of you just joining us right now, who your favorite NASCAR driver is or was, and we saw everybody from Mark Martin, mine's Rusty Wallace from back in the day, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, the Pettys, so many people, including Danica Patrick, of course, great racer who is all MAGA all the time. So it's awesome to see that.
And I would have to say the prettiest race car driver,
yes.
But maybe the only female in that bunch. So. Yeah. But very attractive and very smart, beauty and brains. And of course, you know, going back to Mark Cuban, what a goofball to even say that smart women are not around President Trump. Well, no, not only are they smart, they're also gorgeous and easy on the eyes. So Mark Cuban doesn't know what he's talking about.
And you bring up a funny point, because President Trump said just yesterday in a speech, you know, if you call somebody beautiful, it's the end of your career. It's like, no more of the PC junk. I mean, that's what, back in 2016, 2015, he was doing a speech somewhere, and a reporter came up and said, well, you've used some curse words and all that. And he basically, President Trump's comeback was, you know, we're sick of all of the politically correct crap here. And the crowd went wild. I mean, it was just a new day of a president, because we want to have someone that resonates with us. We want someone that we can trust, and we want someone that gets the job done, AKA DJT. Thank God for President Trump.
Amen to that. And it is refreshing. It's refreshing to have someone with a tongue that is not coerced like a modern politician would be. He's a Queens boy. He's a tough guy, and he had a vision for his life, and he went after it, and he was candid. And sometimes it offended people, and in most cases, I think they just did not have the thick skin to deal with it. And we are the recipients of his courage and his perseverance. And again, a guy, he's very approachable. He's very jovial. He likes to talk to people. He likes to learn about them. So I'm always a little bit surprised when they're on the other side of it, because clearly they've caused an issue for him to react in such a way, because he rather is a gentleman and a great real estate entrepreneur, and someone who dominated not only in the golf world, but again, real estate, hospitality. And the way he did that, he made sure his customers and his clients all felt like they were taken care of, and he went that extra mile. And you see that with the Trump Organization, perhaps the titan of all real estate, especially in America's big cities, and with an international brand that has stood the test of time.
Trump Tower in New York City, if you haven't been, beautiful place. I've seen that there. And also out in Las Vegas, the Trump International Hotel. And you've been to a number of the golf courses, right?
Oh, yes. I'm a big fan of course, Trump International in Palm Beach. We were just outside of there during St. Patrick's Day. Also, Trump National in Doral, where President Trump just was. Trump National in Jupiter. I got my headshots there with the great Barry Morgenstein of New York City. But maybe over time, if he's watching, Barry, hello, and hello to your beautiful wife, Shelly. Are you going to move to Florida? Because I feel like it just makes more sense to be in MAGA country, but he's fighting the good fight in New York City. If you need headshots, go to him. A great man, a great guy. And I think about all those golf courses, but also the Trump International in Chicago really made that. It was already the best skyline in the world, but it's such a beautiful, almost a nice gentle kiss to the Sears Tower. We call it the Sears Tower. I know it's the Willis Tower, but we appreciate the old Sears name as Chicagoland residents, but also the John Hancock, those three towers. A beautiful sight in the city along that Chicago River that they dye it green for St. Patrick's Day. Rhubarb on the second floor, and also the restaurant all the way at the top. Unbeatable views of the city, great food, great drink. Be sure to frequent it if you do visit that great city known as Chicago.
I'm very hungry right now. Thanks, Bobby. Thanks a lot. Also, the Trump Winery in Charlottesville, Virginia. My wife and I saw that before. It's just gorgeous Trump properties all across the country, all across the world. All right, let's go to Colonial Metals Group as we await President Trump. All right, so it's freegoldguide.com/RSBN. You get a free gold guide, a info kit, all about obviously gold and silver, but tax-sheltered IRA, 401k, backed in gold and silver.
Oh yes, the great thing to do in these uncertain times, but every day that President Trump's in office, more and more certain that we will win, but it cannot hurt as your best bet against inflation to have gold and silver in your pocket. You may have properties, assets, also a 401k or IRA, which you can roll into tangible gold and silver. So scan that QR code now, shield your savings, and heed the warnings of billionaires like Warren Buffett, who have put their money in stock markets and, again, gold and silver. Paul Stone, the CEO of Colonial Metals Group, and his professionals, his great team around him, they know a thing or two about this. So go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN for a no-obligation guide. And patriots like Judge Jeanine Pirro are huge endorsers of this great group. They do it better than anyone else. Again, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Find out now how you can prepare for your retirement.
All right, 2:41, actually 2:42 Eastern, Wednesday, April 9th, as we see one of the vehicles there. Maybe it's Formula One, maybe it's IndyCar. Does anybody know? I'm sure some of you do out there, but it's still pretty awesome to see some of these high racing machines It's quite awesome to see it, though, too. Whenever you're at a NASCAR race, or if you just watch on video, when those cars whip by at that still camera and you hear the it's pretty cool stuff. One that is just unbelievable are the motorcycle racers.
Oh, yes.
That's wild, man. They go down, their knee is barely touching, sometimes actually touches because they have the plastic, guards there, but it's wild. I don't know about going 200 miles per hour, but holy smokes.
Yeah, it's impressive to put the pedal to the metal, as you said, Matthew. Craziest thing I think I've done in regards to sport, I once got on the back of a bull, but
Where?
I showed you that video, right? That was in Arizona, the Cave Creek. I'm trying to remember
Are
the
you
name
a professional
of
bull rider?
Oh, no, I'm very much an amateur, and I'll never do it again, so it was a one-time thing.
So hold on now. So tell me about this.
Yeah, it was not even a bet. It was the fact they used to do those rodeos out west.
Right.
So when I was out there, friends were like, well, someone's got to do this. Of course, I volunteered. And the minute I sat on this thing, I thought, I'm never going to live this one down. They give you a helmet, they give you the vest and everything. I thought I shared this video with you.
I don't remember.
But I'll send it to you today.
Okay.
Maybe we'll post it up online here so you can see that action. But I go out that gate and I fall completely. I kind of remember it, but I stood up in an American flag shirt and I just thanked the entire crowd because they were clapping for me.
So wait, did you really, you held on, you put your one arm in the air, the whole thing?
The arm didn't really get in the air. My body was flying first. So the cowboy boots I'm wearing today literally were above my head in about 0.3 seconds. So it was something I'll never forget, though.
It's quite the sport, professional bull riding. I actually saw one of all places in Madison Square Garden in New York. What an experience that was, too. But it was good to be in New York City, the whole city slicker thing. But then having, cowboys and cowgirls there. When I worked in New York, one of my photographers called me a country bumpkin. But I don't care that they called me that. I do like the country. I do like the city as well, but especially now being in Alabama, it's a beautiful area.
Oh, it is. Country is countrywide, and probably the most professional and most popular music that is out there as we await President Trump to take some photo ops with these great racing champions. I wonder right now, too, if he's signing those executive orders before he goes out.
Could be.
We know his schedule is jam-packed in order to serve this great country, and again, he has that lightness about him that I don't think everyone could handle the pressure of the Oval Office. But every day he's laughing, he's celebrating. He had fun last night, clearly, posting some fun and jabbing the nasty pencil neck, someone who might be under investigation. We'll see what happens. But Adam Schiff of California, I'm sorry, California, why are you electing corrupt individuals like the shifty Schiff? He is someone who is just not serving America well, proven to be a liar because of what he did with the Russia hoax. We know that to be true, but we hope that certain states will send better people to D.C. over time. But it hasn't downed the spirits by any means of President Trump and his prowess trying to make America great again. And clearly now with the reciprocal tariffs being paused around the world except for China, he's going to zero in on this, and we will truly be the leaders of manufacturing in the world once again.
If you're just joining us, 2:45 Eastern, as you see on the right side of your screen there. Those of you watching on the West Coast, thank you so much. Mountain Time Zone, Central Time Zone, East Coast. Also, we started our broadcast at 1 Eastern. We shared a lot of the headlines that we've been seeing out there, a lot of commentary, a lot of analysis, but also we played a number of clips of President Trump's speech from just last night. So we've covered a lot of ground over the past hour and 46 minutes as we get ready to see the president there with this photo op. Again, to your point, maybe he is signing the executive orders now. Sometimes it's not live, which this is live, you see on your screen, but we get a replay of that just like any network would, and we will upload that and share that with you on Rumble, YouTube, and other outlets. Now, if we do get that video while the president's speaking here, and there's maybe a Q&A, maybe we can also play that executive order video for you. It just depends on what's happening. Again, this is all live right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Not many scripts, no teleprompter. Maybe we'll get one someday, but regardless, at the end of the day, it's just great to bring you this live coverage. And it's great to hear some of that information again about Chicago and that city skyline there. I've never been to that city yet.
Oh, I think you'll love it, especially in the summertime. And inevitably, our cities are going to get safer with all of this getting rid of Tren de Aragua, MS-13, the border cartels that ended up somehow in Canada. Of course, I asked Ruby Dalla the other day, the former Canadian member of Parliament, also a candidate for Prime Minister, just how did this happen? Was it Justin Trudeau? Was it sleepy autopen Joe Biden that caused this to happen? But regardless of the case, President Trump squashing them like the bugs that they are and sending them out of our country. They shouldn't have been here in the first place. And sadly, many of you know people who have died at the hands of fentanyl or violent victims of rape or incest or murders because of these evil, evil people that were in our country who should have not been here in the first place, participating in things like human trafficking and human sacrifice. And I almost can't believe it when I talk about it because you don't want to believe it. It's so dark, it's so evil, but it affected every town, every community, every state in this great country. Truly every state was a border state as a result of these awful policies of the last administration. President Trump reducing that trafficking coming over the border, and thank God for that.
And thank God for the United States Army, Marines, Coast Guard, Navy, and others, Customs and Border Patrol and Protection, DHS, the county sheriffs, the local law enforcement, everybody working to get rid of any illegal immigrants, especially the criminals and fentanyl that is trying to cross into our border, claiming the lives of many, many Americans. So that was part of the plan from day one to seal the border and have mass deportations with ICE. Well, it's happening. And again, this is not about if someone is from a different country. It has nothing to do with that. We have plenty of people from different countries in this nation, and it's great because it's legal. But if it's illegal, then there's a problem, as you know. So let's go to a number of sponsors here. Director, which sponsor would you like at this point? Let's go to angelpaste.com out of Spring, Texas. Angelpaste.com, Miracle Cream you see right there, other products as well. And they also hire military veterans.
Yes, Christian-based and owned out of Spring, Texas, the Gulf of America, not far away from that beautiful southeastern spot in the Lone Star State. You also have the immunity option. It's an orange choice. Also a facial spray and cream for guys and gals out there. So paint the town red. Start that off with the miracle that is angelpaste.com. They also have a natural mosquito repellent as well. So don't put all of that junk on your skin that can make you break out or whatever it might be. Get the healthy stuff, the vitamin Bs, the vitamin Cs, all natural, again, non-GMO, no chemicals. Experience the miracle today, angelpaste.com. And they really are, they're great folks. They are so jovial, always comment as well on some of our posts, and we thank you for that. I can't wait to meet them in person, the ownership, because I've tried this here at the network. You've seen my dry hands, and they were glowing with just a smile on their face because they realized I have moisturized hands. Thank you, Bobby, for doing this. So experience the miracle today. Angelpaste.com, several options there. And guys, again, I can't stress this enough, just not for the ladies, but for the guys as well. You can grip that tackle box after you take care of your hands because that's something, you know, it's like we got to be rustic, we got to be tough, but we got to watch out for our appearance as well as men. So I highly endorse this great angelpaste.com.
My wife wants me to grow a beard, and I don't know if I want to.
I don't want you to.
Well, I think it's all right. I mean, I like the way the beard looks, but in this kind of setting, we'll see what happens.
I haven't
JD
seen
Vance,
that yet.
the vice president, has a beard.
That's a good beard.
It's pretty cool. No. I'm seeing a video on Breaking 911 right now. It says MAGA guy versus crazed lib teacher. There is a video that, holy smokes, I'm looking forward to watching later. He has a MAGA hat on, and this lady is just going nuts. It's on Breaking 911. I know we're not supposed to, prop up other places, but holy smokes. Anyway, we'll hopefully get that video and we'll show it to you. But it's one that I think is going to be trending in just a minute. How about the one did you see this in New York City on the subway? A guy was wearing a MAGA hat and the girl was upset and saying, "You got to take that off. You're a racist for wearing that hat." Which then there was people that were that were not the same color. Who cares? We're defending the guy, being like, "What are you talking about?"
Exactly. About freedom of speech.
Exactly. So she chases the guy outside of the subway train, falls down on her face, and people are like, well, I mean, holy smokes, let the guy go. He's wearing a hat, big deal.
And that's something that just doesn't happen down south. We would never, if someone came by with a Joe Biden hat, yeah, you might kind of like look at him funny, perhaps judge him, but no one would be like, take that hat off, it insults me.
Right.
You just don't find that here down south, which is, I mean, especially Alabama, you're talking plus 40 in the Republican column. And of course, you can never rest on your laurels, but it's very regular down here for us being native Northerners. I think I'm as shocked, I don't want to speak for you, Matthew, but I'm shocked when I can wear a MAGA hat, and everyone is smiling. Yeah. Or even if someone might give you that side eye, they're not going to come up to you and be like, take it off right now. It's just not a thing down here.
Well, the woke mind virus is different parts of the country out there in different areas, but it's just people that have been indoctrinated. It's as simple as that. And hopefully they see the light and come to the right side of history as we're looking live there at the south portico grounds of the White House. Is that the president down there? I'm just trying to figure out what we're looking at, but we will be going there live as soon as we get a sight of the president. Again, this is all live coverage right now. This was scheduled for 2 o'clock. It's 2:53. So Robert and I, thank God, have the gift of gab. Thank you for joining us and streaming in with us. Why don't we do this? We have a couple minutes of a video from the president's recent executive order signing, where he signed it about making America energy independent again. This was just yesterday. Why don't we take a look at that video? If we see any developments, of course, we'll be going right back here live. And this video isn't very long anyway. So, Director, do we have that video ready? Okay, so they're just saying stand by on that. They're going to get that prepared for us. And, you know, we're seeing, again, the possibility of a, mini press conference here with the president. So it'll be great to hear just what he has to say about, tariffs and that kind of thing. But let's look at a 30,000-foot view. Like, what are we doing? What is this all about, really? At the end of the day, we want our country to be saved. We want our country to have freedom. We want our country to be even better than it was before. And so even these days like this, it's a random Wednesday in April. We're covering the president here. This is all in context of making America great again. And here's one piece of it just from yesterday. Take a look.
I believe the tariffs are a good thing.
I mean, it's actually going to help our industry out.
It is going to bring jobs back to America. Companies will then invest their money and infrastructure in American jobs. And what comes with American jobs is energy. You need energy to support American jobs and factories.
President Trump, I just would like to personally thank you for what you do for the coal industry and what you're doing to make our everyday lives better.
President Trump, from the bottom of our hearts, truly, thank you for everything you have done for the coal industry and for the hardworking, blue-collar American person. We are truly better off today than we were under the last administration.
We at Right Side Broadcasting Network are everyday Americans, and that is what you just saw, coal miners, everyday Americans, and we support someone that stands for everyday America, President Trump. It's
Amen.
Very simple stuff, isn't it, Bobby?
Really, when you break it down, it's not complicated at all, and it's nice to have a president that has pulled back a curtain of a deep state globalist bureaucracy to really reveal that it is we the people versus this dying ideology. And good to see that it is going to hell as it should, because it's really been against the American people for the last quarter century, if not longer. And this president jumped into action in order to save this country, as you mentioned, Matthew. We'll toss it now to these executive orders so you can get a look at what President Trump did sign. watch it, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Oh, look who we have.
Afternoon. Roger.
Hello, everybody.
Good to see you, sir. Mr. President, great to see you.
Nice to see you.
I do know Roger. Good to see you again.
Again for last night.
Appreciate it.
That was great last night.
When you had the sausages there, that was great.
Oh, the sausages, boy. They really,
Yes, I did.
they were fantastic.
You were terrific.
Thank you.
You got the market seeing your brilliance.
Yeah, that's up almost 7 points. 2,500 points. Nobody's ever heard of it. It's going to be a record.
Amazing. Yeah. You make an announcement the next day. Yes, sir. Smart.
The key is a little bit of tax.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Hello, everybody. How are you? These are nice cars. Is this the car?
Yep, this is the car. Yep. Ryan from last year. He got 23, so pretty amazing job he's done.
Pretty amazing.
This is the team behind him here.
Fantastic. How are you? Nice to see you.
Great.
Nice to see you.
President, thanks for having us. Thanks for having us.
Congratulations. Thank you. We had to do it. Somebody had to do it, right? Well, thank you very much, everybody. We have a very special day for a lot of reasons, actually, if you really think about it. But this is a day because Roger Penske is a great friend of mine. I've known him a long time. He received a few years ago the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest award in the country outside of the Congressional Medal of Honor. It's sort of the civilian version of the Congressional Medal of Honor. And I watched him win his 18th Indianapolis 500. And now, I just said, did you win 19? He said, well, actually, we won 20. He won 2 more since then. So that was like 5 years ago, and he won 2 more since then. And just well-deserving. If you look, Germany, Japan, the countries, they spend billions of dollars trying to win Indy. And I guess they do it sometimes, but not much. But he's done it 20 times, so he must know something about cars and racing, and trucks, too, by the way. He knows a lot about trucks. But he's been a very special guy, and he's brought some of our outstanding racing champions with tremendous courage and guts and grit. Hello, fellas. I didn't see you guys over there. That's a good-looking couple of teams, too. They have a lot of courage. And we'll see you in a second. So we're joined by the 2023-2024 NASCAR champion, Ryan Blaney, and Joey Logano. That's really fantastic, fellas. That's great. You get that car going, like as an example, on average, how fast will you
About 190.
About 190, you can have it. I don't want to go, but 190, that's fantastic. And on a straightaway, you'll go how much?
About 190, 200.
About 190 to 200. Well, it takes a special genetic, you know that, right? It's genes. Not only it's genes, really. Most people couldn't do that. Very few people could do it. The 2023 and 2024 Indianapolis 500 winner, Joseph Newgarden. Hey, Joseph. And the 2025 champions of the 24 Hours of Daytona, Felipe Nasser, Nick Tandy, and Lawrence Ventura. Thank you, sir. This is just a celebration of racing and it's a celebration of Roger and his great success and his life, and these incredible champions who really do what very few people could do. Mentally, psychologically, it's a big factor here, like it is in all sports, really, but you need a great physical ability. People that do this, they don't realize what great athletes they are. It's just not the car. I had a friend, he's a very successful guy, but he was a driver, and started off, he wanted to be a race car driver. He wanted to be like you. He wanted to be just like Joey Logano. and he had it for business, but he didn't have it for he said, I just couldn't compete with the good drivers. He couldn't do it no matter what he did. And he got lucky. He went into business and made a lot of money. He was very successful. But he said, I couldn't press the accelerator down all the way, and the best drivers could. So there was just a difference. It was really, I never forgot that story. But these are great champions, and it's a great sport. And what you've done in Indianapolis also with the track and everything has been incredible. I mean, it's really incredible. People tell me it's been amazing. I'll have to get there. I'm going to have to get there maybe this year with you. But well, thank you very much. Thank you. And we did Daytona. We went around the track in the Beast, what's called the Beast, with the thick windows and the whole thing. And you're not supposed to hear anything, but I heard the fans. They were going crazy outside. So it was a great honor. So I just wanted to welcome them to the White House, a special place, very, very special place. And we love champions, and these are the greatest champions in the world. These are the greatest champions in racing, and it's an honor to have you all. And thank you very much, all of you. Thank you very much. I wouldn't ride in that thing if you paid me. How fast will that go?
240 plus.
240.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
That's a weapon.
Two-time winner of the Indianapolis 500 consecutively, right?
Yes, sir.
So what the hell are you doing? What do you eat?
A lot of milk. Drinking a lot of milk. Hopefully.
Okay, I'm going to take some. And that one is pure speed and endurance, right?
Correct, sir.
Speed and endurance. Is that car a very different car than, let's say, this one? Very different?
Very different. Okay.
Very different.
Yeah.
Made for...
You gotta last so many hours.
Right.
And we all share the car, so three drivers.
Totally different engine.
Different engine.
Everything's different.
Everything.
And you'll go, is it 24 hours?
Yeah.
That's a long time. And that car just, there's no let up, it's just constant, right? That's fantastic. Congratulations. That's endurance. Endurance is a big factor in life and success, I can tell you, so you guys have it. Well, thank you very much. Would you like to ask Roger or any of these champions any questions while we're here? Yeah.
You started the morning saying be cool, and then just a few hours later, there was a pause put in on the tariffs. Can you walk us through your thinking about why you decided to put a 90-day pause?
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know? They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions, because we have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. No other president. I know the presidents, they wouldn't have done it. And it had to be done. What was happening to us on trade, not only with, you know, if you look at it, not only with China, but China was by far the biggest abuser in history, and others also, but somebody had to do it. They had to stop because it was not sustainable. Last year, China made $1 trillion off trade with the United States. That's not right. And now I've reversed it. It's for a short period of time, but we made $2 billion. We're making now $2 billion a day. And somebody had to do it. Roger actually said it. Charles Schwab was here a little while ago, one of the great financial people, and he said he's been waiting for 40 years for somebody to do what I did over the last month. And if you didn't do it, you wouldn't have a country. It wouldn't be sustainable. So I'm honored to have done it. And, you know, look, nothing's over yet, but we have a tremendous amount of spirit from other countries, including China. China wants to make a deal. They just don't know how quite to go about it. You know, it's one of those things they don't know how quite. They're proud people. And President Xi's a proud man. I know him very well. And they don't know quite how to go about it, but they'll figure it out. They're in the process of figuring it out, but they want to make a deal. And we have many other countries, as you know, many more than 75. And they all want to come, and they want to come here, or they'll go to Commerce, or they'll go to Treasury. We have our great senators here and congressmen. They'll call John, they'll do somebody, they'll go through somebody, but they're all calling, how do we do this? They all want to make a deal. Somebody had to do what we did, and I did a 90-day pause for the people that didn't retaliate, because I told them if you retaliate, we're going to double it. And that's what I did with China, because they did retaliate. So we'll see how it all works out. I think it's going to work out amazing. I think that our country is going to be at the end of a year or shorter, but I think we're going to have something that nobody would have dreamt possible. A man like Roger Penske, I don't want to get him in trouble with China, so I won't, but he would know that you have to, someday you have to cut the bow and you have to do what you have to do, right, Roger? And that's what I did, and I'm very happy to have done it.
Mr. President, was there anyone the Prime Minister of Greece just told Breitbart's Matt Boyle that he thinks absolutely the European Union and the United States could work out a trade deal that's win-win and, quote, mutually beneficial to both sides. What do you think about the Prime Minister's comments, and do you think a deal could be struck with the European Union?
First of all, I know him. He's a good man, and I appreciate his comments. Yeah, a deal could be made with every one of them. A deal's going to be made with China. A deal's going to be made with every one of them. And there'll be fair deals. I just want fair. They will be fair deals for everybody. But they weren't fair to the United States. They were sucking us dry, and you can't do that. You know, we have $36 trillion of debt for a reason. We don't have it there for fun. They have it for a reason. And people took advantage of our country, and they ripped us off for decades. I've been thinking about this for decades. If you ever saw me on television, I was young like these guys. And it was the good old days, I'll tell you, Roger. But I was like these guys, young, and I was talking about it. Nothing changed, and nothing was done about it. Then I did it. In my first term, I did it, and did it well. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China and others. And I started the process, but then we had to fix up from the COVID mess caused by China. We had to fix up from that, and we did a good job of doing it. And when we handed back the reins after a rigged election, and when we handed back the reins, the stock market was higher than it was before COVID coming in. So, you know, we did a great job, but we didn't have time to do the big thing, which we're doing now. And it's, you know, it's like a patient is sick. You have to do surgery. A patient is very, very sick. And Joe Biden handed us over a country that was in very serious trouble, economically and in every other way. They let China run away with things. They let other countries run away with things. And maybe worst of all, in a certain way, is what they did at the border. We had people pouring into our country by the millions. Many of them were murderers and drug lords and thieves and people from prisons from all over the world. And there were people from mental institutions, insane asylums. They were taking their mentally insane, and they were dumping them into our country. And I'll tell you, Tom Homan and Kristi Noem are doing a fantastic job in removing them. And now the courts, the Supreme Court just gave us numerous good rulings where we have to be able to get them out. You had other judges trying to take over the system. And think of it, they take over. They want these people coming back, Tren de Aragua from Venezuela, the Venezuela jails that cut off the fingers of a man in Colorado. They cut off his fingers because he called the police looking for help. They said, "Did you call the police?" He said, "Yes, I did." "Put your hand down," and they cut off the fingers. This is what they want to bring these people back now. And I want to thank the president of El Salvador for the job he's done, because that's the way it has to be done. And it's too bad. Yeah, please.
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, they've been talking about tariffs for decades. How come when these Democrat elites want tariffs, everything's hunky-dory, but when President Trump wants tariffs, all hell breaks loose? Do you see this double standard?
I love this guy, whoever the hell that is. That's really nice. I appreciate that question. No, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, everybody knew you had to do it, but they never had the guts to do it. It does take guts. It even takes guts for our country to go through it. That's why I say be cool. They were saying about, just be cool. It's going to work out. It's going to work out, and it's working out. I can tell you, working out maybe faster than I thought. But I said it's going to take a little conditioning. It's a transition to. I think it's a transition to greatness. It's going to be greatness. Our country's going to be. There'll be nothing like it. and people investing in our country. They're going to do better than they've ever done before. We have more car manufacturers, Roger, coming into our country now. Speaking of cars, we've never seen anything like it. And they're coming in because of the election, but they're coming in because of the tariffs, because they don't want to pay 25 or 50 or whatever it may be. They don't want to pay that. They can't pay that. We had 3 cancellations in Mexico, building a plant. They're all coming into the United States. Canada, they're coming in. From China, they're coming in from everywhere. And that's just cars. We have chip makers coming. We're the biggest chip maker in the world from Taiwan, coming in, spending $3 billion to build plants, and mostly a big plant. This is a hell of a plant when you spend the kind of money that they're going to go $200 to $300 billion, not million. You know, you'd say million would be the right number. It's not. $200 to $300 billion. Think of that. $300 billion. If you look at Apple, Apple is going to spend $500 billion building a plant. They wouldn't be doing that if I didn't do this. They'd just keep building them in China. And that's unsustainable. It's not a pleasant thing to do, but I appreciate the question. And, you know, interestingly, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, Crazy Nancy, they've wanted to do this for years, but they never had a president that had the guts to do it, because it does take guts, believe me.
Was it the bond markets that persuaded you to reverse course?
I was watching the bond market. The bond market is very tricky. I was watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. I think everything had. Well, the big move wasn't what I did today. The big move was what I did on Liberation Day. We had Liberation Day in America. We're liberated from all of the horrible deals that were made, all of the horrible trade deals that were made. And I was helped by people just like this, senator, congressman, and friends, right? And we had great help in the Senate. Our Republican senators have been amazing. They stood tall. And likewise in the House. And John Thune has done an amazing job. Barrasso has done an amazing job. I can't think of a senator, really. We had tremendous support. We got a bill passed the other day with almost unanimous support in the Senate, and I think we're going to get that in the House too. And I have to tell you that Mike Johnson is a great speaker. He's done a fantastic job. We had a majority of 1, now we have a majority of 7. And you don't realize how big 7 is until you have a majority of 1. 7 sounds like so much, but we're doing well. But Mike Johnson and John Thune have done a really great job.
Mr. President, was there anyone who influenced your decision? Did you speak with anyone, Jamie Dimon? Did you speak with anyone?
Well, I watched Jamie Dimon on Maria Bartiromo's show this morning, and he was very good. He said that, actually made the statement to effect that something had to be done with the tariffs and trade. He said that. He said, look, at some point, but he said something has to be done with tariffs and trade. He understood it. He's very smart and very a genius financially. He's done a fantastic job at the bank. And he knows that. Everybody knows that. Anybody that's even a little bit smart knows it. It wasn't sustainable what was happening. Somebody had to pull the trigger. I was willing to pull the trigger. This should have been done long ago. Just like Biden should have stopped the border long ago. I mean, allowed 21 million people plus into our country, many of whom should never have been allowed out of prisons and jails. They came out of prisons and jails from all over the world, and now we're getting them out, bringing them back to their countries. But it's should have never been done. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Sir, would you consider exempting some U.S. companies, maybe some larger companies who have been hit hard in the markets the last few days during this 90 days?
As time goes by, we're going to take a look at it. There are some that have been hard. There are some that, by the nature of the company, get hit a little bit harder, and we'll take a look at that, yeah.
How do you determine the next 90 days?
Just instinctively, more than anything else. I mean, you almost can't take a pencil to paper. It's really more of an instinct, I think, than anything else.
Credibility like? Because you said that these tariffs would go in effect on Monday. You said no pause. But today there is a pause. So how can people believe your words today?
It's not a question of that. You have to have flexibility. I could say, here's a wall, and I'm going to go through that wall. I'm going to go through it no matter what, and keep going, and you can't go through the wall. Sometimes you have to be able to go under the wall, around the wall, or over the wall. These guys know that better than anybody, right? You got to go around them sometimes. You're not going to go through them. So I consider, I think in financial markets, because they change. Look how much it changed today. We went from, pretty moderate today, but over the last few days it looked pretty glum, to, I guess they say it was the biggest day in financial history. That's a pretty big change. And I think the word would be flexible. You have to be flexible. Like he's asking the question about some companies. Some companies, through no fault of their own, they happen to be in an industry that is more affected by these things than others. You have to be able to show a little flexibility. And I'm able to do that. I'm going to say hello to these champions because they are great champions. I got to say hello to them.
To avoid more escalation.
I love that tire. That's great. Thank you, Mr. President. So if you guys want to take your polls down, yes. We took it. Gentlemen on the side, we're fighting 2 rows. Everybody in. So we're going to do a
Well, there you go. What an awesome moment that was there. The president taking on a number of questions there about trade, about the trade war going on with China, but seeing those high-speed racing machines as well. Kind of an awesome moment.
And great that they will be American-made moving forward with some of the best industries from around the world, namely Toyota and Hyundai, who have poured billions already into this country. And President Trump laying it out there according to his Truth Social post as well. Just be cool, relax, let's get this done. And mentioning with a couple of reporters there, just who the hell is that guy? But he liked the question because so true. Going back all of these years to President Trump's point, when he was around my age, he was talking about this with Oprah Winfrey. Fast forward to now, and the course of the last 25 years, we know that crazy Nancy Pelosi, 25 years ago on the House floor, speaking about how good tariffs are. Barack Hussein Obama talking in 2008 about the benefits of tariffs. Even that psychopath Bernie Sanders getting deep into why tariffs are good for the country. What changed? I don't know. Maybe the globalist inheritance that they have. Maybe it's the pharmaceutical companies. Maybe it's those lobbyists who control those politicians in Washington.
The love of money is the root of all evil. The love of money. Not having money, but the love of money. I mean, that's what the Bible says. We believe it here at the network. But also, we are into day 79 of President Trump's second administration. And we saw those high-speed machines there, and it has been nothing but that since January 20th of this year. Pedal to the metal. It's been great to see a lot of wins. We're going to keep covering it right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, not only with President Trump, but all of the cabinet leaders and all of the great things that are happening in our country. We'll also keep our eye on and monitor other news that we've been waiting to see here at the network. We're waiting to see a number of things, including some more of the files that are out there when it comes to the RFK Jr. files, the MLK, the Epstein files. I mean, so many different things. But we're keeping tabs on it as we see the president making promises and keeping those promises. It's awesome to see that. as it's 3:22 Eastern. Thanks so much for watching this live stream. Thanks to Colonial Metals Group for being a great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. FreeGoldGuide.com is the place to go for that. So one of the great sponsors, but also if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network, all you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801. Always good to donate to this conservative common sense network.
Thank you for supporting citizen journalism in action. RSBnetwork.com/donate or text that RSBN. Easy to remember to 801-801. Bringing you now over a decade of coverage, whether it be the Trump rallies or the live fantastic coverage of speeches and also the outstanding Trump White House and everything that's inside and outside of the Beltway. So thank you for supporting us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network.
And it's 3:23 Eastern, Wednesday, April 9th. We may have someone live with us from Illinois that you were talking about earlier.
Yes, fantastic. We will have a special guest. We could break it out now with breakthrough ideas. Jeannie Ives, the former candidate for governor in Congress, also former Illinois state representative. And she has an outstanding show on AM 560, Conservative Talk Radio, The Real Answer. So she has a lovely show on Sunday evenings, really diving into policy items that are extraordinarily interesting, not only to the beacon that is the Chicagoland area, a hub for manufacturing, a hub for so many things that have steered this country into being the most powerful, wealthiest in the world, but also what's going on in and around our great nation. So someone who is a policy wonk, you won't want to miss this interview. It'll be fantastic. We are joined live now by none other than Jeannie Ives of The Real Story. Thanks for being with us today. Talk to us about what you experienced over the weekend. We had this nationwide hands-off / Tesla protest. Was it something of the woke mind virus or just another one of those left-wing organized George Soros rallies to try to somehow deter President Trump and the MAGA movement?
Well, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate this opportunity to tell you what's going on in your own hometown there, Bobby. Yeah, beautiful Wheaton at one point had the most churches per capita. Has now been really taken over by the woke, and you see it in our school systems. And then just recently, they had a hands-off rally in beautiful Adams Park, which, by the way, the people who owned it at one point can trace their lineage back to John Quincy Adams. And now they had a protest march there, probably 100, 125 people there. But what was really just concerning to me is that they were protesting with chants that said, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." Now, only blocks away from Adams Park is Wheaton College, home, of the Christian Wheaton College. And here they are calling for genocide in Wheaton. I mean, this is just so inappropriate. And of course, we saw this throughout the suburbs. There was a Tesla takedown rally. Again, this is one of many that they've been doing in the suburbs. Lyle was their big event there. In Geneva, apparently you had 6,000 protesters just across the river in beautiful Geneva, Illinois, doing a hands-off rally. But all these people live in Illinois, which is one of the deepest blue states, unfortunately, right now. They have everything they want in terms of a utopia for Democrat policies, and yet they feel the need to protest Elon Musk and President Trump. Is just ridiculous.
It is quite ridiculous. We've been watching it not only in Illinois, but around the country, these different Tesla dealerships or these protests going on. And their talking points are so warped. You can just tell that they repeat a line and then they hear something that sounds true. So they just call somebody a dictator. I mean, they don't have any real depth in their argument, do they?
No, none whatsoever. Not to mention, a lot of the people that are there are, I would say that at Wheaton, the average age was 70. So gray-haired, older people, maybe they're reverting back to their hippie days. I don't get it. But yeah, their talking points are all just a bunch of chants. And in fact, at the Tesla takedown rally that I went to earlier, they have a chant sheet. It's the same one that you've seen on the national media stage. It's a chant sheet. They all follow the script. They are just followers. They're not independent thinkers in any way, because if they were, then they would especially understand in the state of Illinois, which is all in for renewable energy, by the way, and wants to mandate that everybody has an electric vehicle. They should be supportive of Tesla and his initiative, and also his initiatives. They're not. So everything rings hollow that they're doing, and it's just, I don't know what to tell you. It feels surreal to be here in DuPage County that used to be one of the most Republican counties when I moved in about 33 years ago in the entire country, and now it's just been taken over by the woke left.
Speaking to that reality, Jeannie, the Democrats on the county board in DuPage, again, this is just west of Chicago, Illinois, for our viewers, took off Henry Hyde's name from the judicial building recently. What's the reaction like to that with residents? Because this is someone who is very pro-life. Of course, you may know the Hyde Amendment that former President Biden endorsed way back when he was a United States Senator. Someone very conservative, but also was able to push legislation through Congress in his 32 years. Is there somewhat of a backlash taking place with that? How do residents feel that this wonderful man who represented the 6th District for so long was treated rather poorly?
Well, unfortunately, it became about a one-week story. So there were a number of us who did show up to talk at the county board meeting and say how disappointed we are that you have abandoned Henry Hyde. I mean, Henry Hyde was not just about the Hyde Amendment, which limits government money going to funding abortion. He also signed on to the assault weapons ban. Let's remember that. He was very bipartisan in nature. In fact, one of the more statesman-like people that we've had in our history. And they ignored all of the rest of his past and only focused on the fact that he didn't think taxpayers should fund abortion. And it's a shameful time frame. I appreciate that the Wall Street Journal picked up on this story as well and said, you know, what are you doing? And to their credit, both the local regional paper Daily Herald and the Chicago Tribune both said this is nonsense. It does not make sense, and it's beneath you to kind of do this as a county board. Everybody appreciated Henry Hyde, but they're getting away with it because the voters here, for whatever reason, are just not paying attention.
Jeannie, outside of what you're talking about there when it comes to the Tesla protests, we understand the woke mind virus and seeing what's happening there. What is something that you would want to share with the nation right now when it comes to something you're passionate about for our country? What words of advice or encouragement? As we move forward, we have a winner in President Trump, but still staying vigilant is key, right?
Yes. And, you know, I would say that, you know, President Trump, people need to be very supportive of his agenda. When things get as off the rails as you find in the state of Illinois, you almost see no way of reducing the bureaucracy at this point in our state. And President Trump, he's trying to do something that nobody else has done, which is take on the bureaucracy, reset everything that we have in foreign relationships, actually go ahead and decide that we're going to protect our people first, which is defending our borders, supporting the military. I've got 3 who are serving on active duty right now. And I will tell you that what he's taking on is a monumental challenge because he's got big ideas. He's got big things to take care of. He's not working on the margins. And that is very difficult for a political leader to do. And we need to be very supportive and trust what he's doing and get behind that. And we need to do that by supporting him wherever we can locally. And push back. Again, when we see these rallies, we need to have a counter rally. When we see an opinion piece, we need to write something opposite of it. When we see government inefficiency, we need to find it in our own governments. And in Illinois, it's prolific. You can find it everywhere. So we have a Doge Illinois effort along with my Breakthrough Ideas group, and we are trying to expose the malfeasance in government as well. And more people need to do that. We need to pile on reducing the bureaucracy.
And a 2-part question for you, Jeannie. You're a West Point graduate, and your family with such esteemed military history, including now your children serving our great country. What do you think about the reforms that Secretary of State Pete Hegseth is putting forward thanks to the mandate that came with the Trump election back in November? And then also in turn, how can Republicans, not only from this past Tuesday and off-year elections, but also going into the midterms, be successful without President Trump on the top of the ticket?
Well, first of all, the military reforms need to become permanent. An executive order is not sufficient. And to that end, I have been working with STARS, Standing Against Racism and Radicalism in the Services, the MacArthur Society of West Point Graduates, and the Calvert Task Group, which is an organization that is from the United States Naval Academy graduates. And we have put together 9 initiatives that have been presented to congressmen, and we are hoping that those become part of the National Defense Authorization Act so that we can make permanent the reforms that have come in through the executive orders. And I think that that's a really important thing that we need to work on because this could all go away if for some reason there's a Democrat president in the future. And so, God bless Donald Trump, but we need a Hegseth and team to actually take that Restoring Americans Fighting Force Task Force and look into our Duty on Our Country Commission, our Commission on COVID and Anthrax policy, and all the other initiatives and make those permanent. On your second point, which, look, 2026 is, again, one of those things where you look more locally. At least in here, we have a huge governor's race. Governor Pritzker is universally disliked, I really do think, in the state of Illinois. But are there enough voters? Or is there enough aptitude to or appetite to take him out of office? That's a big challenge for us as Republicans because we haven't been united. Republicans need to unite and actually, circle the wagons and take on the Democrats wherever they can, whether it's local races or state. And that's what we're trying to do here.
All grassroots efforts. Jeannie Ives of The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. Where can we find you on Sunday nights, and where can we find breakthrough ideas and all the great work that you are committed to at the grassroots level that not only affect the Chicago suburbs, but also national politics?
Well, again, thank you for having me on. You can catch my radio show on AM 560 Sunday nights, 7 to 9 p.m. And you can check out our website and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
We look forward to having you back. Thanks again for joining us. Jeannie Ives of The Real Story.
Thank you.
Quite awesome to hear and see journalists, true conservatives in a place like Chicago, Illinois, or Illinois in general, and being in the front lines there. It's just awesome to see it.
And someone with such policy knowledge and truly a policy wonk that Jeannie is, because she was there in the legislature fighting those good fights for 3 terms and really representing her constituents well. Someone who really, before President Trump came onto the scene, was not focused on Republican versus Democrat, but more we the people versus a machine that watched out for one another, whether it be in Chicago or Springfield, of course, having been a governor candidate, a gubernatorial candidate, also a candidate for Congress. So someone we love having on the show, and that's what we bring you here at Right Side Broadcasting Network that's different from other outlets. The knowledge, the background, the people who have been in the room where it happens, unlike anything else, unbridled access for you, the viewers. And we hope that you like, share, and subscribe everything you're seeing here, because we want to bring you what's really happening in your neck of the woods.
Just as I ended the broadcast last night after that great speech by President Trump, we are living in historic times, and we are proud to be able to report on the historic president of this United States, Donald J. Trump. Thank you again for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. For Robert McNeely and Matthew Alvarez, we'll see you again soon.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First news. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
President Trump is keeping his promises and saving America. And your kids can learn all about it for free with a new Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide shows kids all the steps President Trump is taking to put America back on top of the world stage, including building a strong economy, protecting our borders, and negotiating trade deals. It's an exciting way for kids to learn about President Trump's outstanding leadership. Act now and get a free bonus guide, The Courage of the President. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.